Your resilience is your echo. How the strength you build in adversity reverberates through your entire life. Introduction. The first sound. There was once an old potter who lived in a village nestled by a mountain. His hands, though gnarled with age, moved with a grace that seemed to coax life from shapeless lumps of clay. For 50 years, his creations were the heart of the village, the sturdy bowls for every family's table, the elegant vases for every wedding, the simple urns for every final farewell. His studio, a humble building of stone and wood, was not just his workshop, it was his sanctuary, and its kiln was its soul. One autumn night, a storm unlike any in living memory descended from the mountain. The wind howled like a wounded beast, and rain fell not in drops, but in sheets. The villagers huddled in their homes, listening to the chaos. By morning, the storm had passed, leaving a trail of devastation. The potter, old but resolute, walked to his studio. He found it in ruins. The roof was torn open to the sky, and the great kiln, the heart of his life's work, was shattered. Inside, the delicate pieces he had been preparing, a lifetime of skill in their fragile forms, were now just a slurry of mud and shards. Grief, heavy and cold, settled in his chest. His work, his identity, was gone. For days, he did nothing but sit amidst the wreckage. This, for many, is where the story would end, a sad tale of loss. But this is not a story about endings. This is a story about echoes. After a week of silence, the potter began to move. He did not start by clearing the debris to rebuild what was. Instead, he began sifting through the broken pieces. As he picked up a shard from a shattered vase, he noticed something extraordinary. Where the lightning had struck a nearby tree, a surge of unimaginable heat had arced into the kiln, melting the sand in his clay mixture into streaks of iridescent glass. The flaw, the mark of destruction, was a thing of impossible beauty. A new idea took root. He did not rebuild his old studio. He built a new one with a kiln designed differently, one that would allow him to experiment with intense, unpredictable heat. He began incorporating the flaws, the streaks of glass, the cracks, the imperfections into his art. His new pottery was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It was stronger, more unique, more profound. It told the story of the storm, of survival, of transformation. The potter became more famous than ever before, not for the perfection he once created, but for the stunning beauty he had found in the heart of destruction. His resilience did not just return him to his previous state, it propelled him forward. And that is the echo. The echo was in the new art form he created. It was in the younger potters who came to learn his new methods. It was in the story the villagers told their children about the man who found beauty in the rubble. His act of enduring the storm reverberated, creating something new and lasting that would not have existed without the hardship. This book is built on that simple, powerful idea. Your resilience is your echo. We are often taught to think of resilience as the ability to bounce back from adversity, to withstand a blow and return to our original shape like a rubber ball. But this metaphor, while useful, is profoundly incomplete. It suggests that the goal is simply to get back to normal, to erase the impact of our struggles and pretend they never happened. I believe this sells short the incredible power of the human spirit. True resilience is not about bouncing back, it is about bouncing forward. It is the process of being stretched, tested, and even broken by life, and then integrating that experience into who we are, to become something stronger, wiser, and more capable. The challenges we face are not just obstacles to be overcome, they are the raw material from which we forge a new self. The strength you build, the wisdom you gain, the compassion you discover in your darkest moments, these things do not disappear when the crisis passes. They become a permanent part of you. They create a vibration, a sound wave of strength that echoes through the rest of your life. That echo shapes your future decisions. It deepens your relationships. It redefines your purpose. It becomes a quiet source of strength that you can draw on for years to come, and it becomes a source of inspiration for others who witness your journey. It is the lasting proof that you did more than just survive. You grew. This book is a guide to cultivating that echo. It is a journey in 3 parts. In Part 1, Understanding the Sound Wave, we will explore the true nature of resilience. We will go beyond platitudes and look at the science, psychology, and philosophy of human strength, understanding why adversity is not just survivable, but essential for growth. In Part 2, Tuning the Instrument, we will move from the theoretical to the practical. This is the heart of our work together. We will delve into the actionable pillars of a resilient mind, from mindfulness and perspective to self-compassion and purpose. You will learn the tools not just to weather the next storm, but to harness its energy. Finally, in Part 3, The Echo in the World, we will see how this cultivated resilience reverberates through the most important areas of your life, your career, your relationships, and the legacy of strength you pass on to others. This is not a book that promises to make you unbreakable or immune to pain. Pain, loss, and failure are inevitable parts of a meaningful life. This is a book about learning to meet that pain with courage and grace, and to use it as a catalyst for profound transformation. It is about learning to listen for the echo of your own strength, even when the world is loud with despair. You picked up this book for a reason. Perhaps you are in the middle of a storm right now, sitting in the rubble of what was. Perhaps you have just come through one and are wondering how to move forward. Or perhaps you feel the winds changing and want to build a stronger foundation for whatever lies ahead. Wherever you are, know this: you already have the capacity for immense resilience within you. It is your birthright as a human being. Our work is not to create it from scratch, but to awaken it, tune it, and amplify it until its echo can be heard in everything you do. The first sound begins now. Let us begin. Part 1. Understanding the Sound Wave, the Nature of Resilience. This section lays the scientific, psychological, and philosophical foundation for understanding resilience not as a magical trait, but as a learnable, dynamic process. Chapter 1. More than a bounce back, redefining true strength. We all carry in our minds a picture of what strength looks like. It's the stoic hero in a movie who walks away from an explosion without flinching. It's the public figure who endures criticism with an unshakable smile. It's the grandparent who never seemed to complain no matter the hardship. This is the myth of the unbreakable person, a statue carved from granite, impervious to the wind and rain, standing stoic and unchanged by the passage of time. We admire this image. We strive for it. We believe that to be resilient is to be this statue, hard, impenetrable, and scar-free. When we suffer a setback, a job loss, a broken heart, a frightening diagnosis, we often judge ourselves for our very human reactions. We see our tears, our fear, and our confusion not as natural responses, but as evidence of our failure to be strong. We believe we have cracked. This chapter is about shattering that myth. True, lasting strength is not found in the brittle perfection of a granite statue. It is found in the flexible, tempered power of a blacksmith's blade. A blade is not born strong, it is made strong. It is thrust into the fire, heated until it glows with unbearable intensity. It is pulled out and beaten with a hammer, its very structure shocked and reshaped. It is plunged into the cold water, an act of violent quenching. This process is repeated again and again. It is not a gentle process. It is one of stress, pressure, and transformation. The final blade is not the same piece of metal that went into the forge. It is harder, yet more flexible. It can bend without breaking. It holds a sharp edge. Its strength comes directly from the ordeal it endured. It is not strong despite its trial by fire. It is strong because of it. This is the nature of human resilience. It is not about being unbreakable. It is about allowing ourselves to be forged. Beyond bouncing back, the promise of bouncing forward. For decades, the dominant metaphor for resilience has been bouncing back. The image is of a rubber ball. You press it down, it deforms, and when you let go, it springs back to its original shape. This idea served a purpose. It gave us a language for recovery and assured us that we could return to a state of normalcy after a crisis. It told us, you can get through this and be yourself again. But there is a quiet tyranny in the idea of bouncing back. It implies that the ideal outcome is to be unchanged by our experiences. It subtly suggests that any lingering mark, any scar, any shift in our perspective is a sign of incomplete recovery. It sets normal as the goal, a state we must fight to return to. What if our struggles weren't just interruptions to be erased? What if they were invitations to grow? This is the fundamental shift from bouncing back to bouncing forward. Bouncing back is about restoration. It's about returning to the baseline. The goal is to get back to who you were before the hardship. Bouncing forward is about transformation. It's about integrating the experience into your life to create a new, more capable baseline. The goal is to become more than you were before the hardship. Think of a bone that breaks. When it heals, a callus forms around the fracture site, making the bone stronger at that point than it was before the injury. The body doesn't just return to normal, it reinforces the site of the trauma. It bounces forward. Think of a forest after a fire. The landscape is scarred and barren, but the fire has also cleared away the old undergrowth and enriched the soil with ash. In the seasons that follow, new kinds of flowers and trees begin to grow, often creating an ecosystem that is more diverse and vibrant than the one that came before it. The forest bounces forward. This same potential for transformative growth exists within our own psyche. This isn't just a hopeful philosophy. It is a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as post-traumatic growth, or PTG. Coined by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, PTG is the positive psychological change that individuals experience as a result of struggling with major life crises. It is not the absence of suffering, growth often coexists with pain, but a transformation that occurs because of it. Researchers have identified 5 common domains where this growth occurs. A greater appreciation for life. Survivors often report a newfound ability to appreciate everyday moments and the simple fact of being alive. Warmer, more intimate relationships. Going through hardship can deepen bonds with others and clarify who is truly important in one's life. A greater sense of personal strength. Having navigated a major challenge, individuals often feel more confident in their ability to handle future difficulties. They learn, if I could get through that, I can get through anything. Recognition of new possibilities. The disruption of a life crisis can close some doors but also open new ones, leading to a new path or purpose that was previously unimaginable. Spiritual or existential development. Major life events often prompt people to grapple with fundamental questions about life, meaning, and their place in the universe, leading to a deeper spiritual life. The key here is the element of struggle. Growth doesn't happen despite the struggle, but because of it. It is the active process of grappling with the new reality that unlocks this potential. From robust to anti-fragile. To further understand this idea of growing from hardship, we can turn to the work of author and risk analyst Nassim Nicholas Taleb, who coined the term anti-fragile. Taleb explains that we often think in terms of fragile-robust duality. Fragile, an object that breaks under stress or volatility. Think of a porcelain teacup. Robust, an object that resists stress and remains unchanged. Think of a block of steel. For years, we've been taught to pursue robustness, to become that unmovable block of steel. But Taleb introduces a third category that is far more dynamic and alive: anti-fragile. A system that gains from disorder. It doesn't just resist shocks, it feeds on them and becomes stronger, more creative, and more capable as a result. The human body is the perfect example. If you were to lie in bed for a year to protect your muscles from stress, they would waste away. To make them stronger, you must expose them to the stress of exercise. Your muscles are anti-fragile. Your immune system is anti-fragile. It strengthens and learns after being exposed to germs. Life itself is anti-fragile. Your psyche holds this same potential. Avoiding all emotional risk, discomfort, and failure doesn't make you strong. It makes you fragile. It's the act of facing challenges, learning from mistakes, and processing difficult emotions that allows you to become anti-fragile, to bounce forward. Every heartbreak teaches you more about love and compassion. Every career failure teaches you about your true skills and passions. Every moment of doubt, when met with curiosity, strengthens your inner resolve. The science of bouncing forward, rewiring your brain. This capacity for bouncing forward is not magic. It is rooted in the biology of our brains, specifically in the principle of neuroplasticity. For centuries, it was believed that the adult brain was a fixed, static organ. We now know this is false. The brain is remarkably dynamic, constantly reorganizing itself and forming new neural connections in response to our experiences, thoughts, and behaviors. When you face a stressful situation, two key areas of your brain are in a tug of war. The amygdala. This is the ancient almond-shaped part of your brain that acts as your internal alarm system. It is constantly scanning for threats, and when it perceives one, it triggers the fight or flight response, flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol. It is fast, emotional, and primal. The prefrontal cortex, or PFC, located behind your forehead, this is your inner CEO. It is responsible for rational thinking, problem-solving, emotional regulation, and long-term planning. It is slower and more deliberate than the amygdala. In an untrained brain, the amygdala's alarm can easily hijack the system, leading to reactive, fear-based decisions. Resilience, at a neurological level, is the process of strengthening the connection between the PFC and the amygdala. It is the PFC learning to hear the amygdala's alarm, assess the situation rationally, and say, "Thank you for the warning. I've got this." How do you strengthen this connection? The same way you strengthen a muscle, by exercising it. Every time you face a challenge and choose to take a deep breath instead of panicking, you are strengthening this crucial neural pathway. Every time you reframe a negative thought or choose a value-driven action in the face of fear, you are literally rewiring your brain for resilience. Adversity, in this sense, is not an attack on your brain, it is a workout for it. It provides the necessary resistance to build the mental and emotional musculature of an anti-fragile mind. This is the beautiful, hopeful truth at the heart of our journey. The strength we seek is not about building a thicker wall to keep hardship out. It is about cultivating the inner capacity to meet that hardship, engage with it, and allow it to transform us for the better. It's about accepting that our scars are not signs of damage, but maps of our growth. They are the proof that we were forged, not broken. In the chapters to come, we will explore the practical tools to actively engage in this process. But first, we must accept this new definition of strength. Let go of the myth of the unbreakable statue. Embrace the reality of the tempered blade. You are not meant to be impervious. You are meant to be forged. Chapter 2. The Source of the Echo. Your core values and beliefs. Imagine two ships caught in the same ferocious storm. The waves are mountainous, the wind is a relentless shriek, and the sky is a churning, colorless gray. The first ship is adrift. Its engine has failed, and its rudder is broken. It is a helpless vessel, entirely at the mercy of the storm. Every wave smashes against its hull, pushing it in a new, violent direction. The crew, panicked and disoriented, rushes from one emergency to another with no guiding strategy. Their only goal is to survive the next impact. Their fate is determined not by their skill, but by the random whims of the sea. The second ship is different. The storm is just as powerful, the waves just as high. But this ship has a working rudder and a powerful anchor deep below the surface holding fast to the seabed. Though the ship is battered and tossed, it is not adrift. The crew, while stressed, is not in chaos. They have a fixed point of reference. They know which way they are oriented, and they work together, using the rudder to meet each wave with the strongest part of their hull. They are not in control of the storm, but they are not controlled by it. They are navigating it. In the storm of life, our core values are our anchor. Our beliefs are our rudder. When adversity strikes, when the storm hits, it strips away the non-essential. Our job titles, our daily routines, our carefully laid plans, all can be torn away in an instant. In that moment of chaos and disorientation, what remains? What is the fixed point in a world that has been turned upside down? The answer lies deep within you. It is the unshakable sense of who you are and what matters most. This is the true source of the echo, a resonant, unwavering internal foundation built from your most deeply held values and your most empowering beliefs. Without this foundation, we are the first ship, tossed about by the whims of circumstance. With it, we become the second ship, capable of navigating the most terrifying storms with purpose and integrity. This chapter is about building that foundation. It's about learning to drop your anchor and take control of your rudder. The anchor in the storm, discovering your core values. What are core values? The word values is often used loosely. We might say we value honesty or hard work, but these can feel like abstract concepts, like words embroidered on a decorative pillow. True core values are not just pleasant ideas. They are the fundamental principles that govern your life. They are the DNA of your character. They are the metric you use to determine if your life is authentic and meaningful. They are the answer to the question, who am I at my core? It's crucial to distinguish values from goals. Goals are destinations. They are finite and achievable. Lose 15 pounds, get a promotion, buy a house. Once you reach a goal, you cross it off the list. Values are directions. They are ongoing and lived every day. Examples include health, growth, integrity, connection, creativity. You never achieve connection, you practice it. You don't complete integrity, you live it. If a goal is a city you want to visit, a value is the direction on a compass. In a storm, your map to the city might be ruined, and the road might be washed away. But if you know that your direction is north, you can still orient yourself and take the next step, even if you don't know the final destination. This is why values are the anchor of resilience. When a life crisis hits, our goals are often the first casualty. The promotion you are working toward vanishes in a round of layoffs. The relationship you were building ends in heartbreak. The health you took for granted is suddenly compromised. If your entire sense of self is tied to these external goals, you become the ship adrift. But if your identity is anchored in your values, you remain grounded. If you lose your job, but your core value is growth, you can ask, how can this experience help me learn and develop new skills? If a relationship ends, but your core value is connection, you can ask, how can I deepen my connections with friends, family, and myself during this painful time? If you face a health crisis, but your core value is courage, you can ask, how can I face this challenge with bravery and grace? Values provide the why that helps us endure the how. They give our suffering a context and allow us to make choices that align with our deepest sense of self, even when our options are limited. This alignment is a powerful source of strength. Practical exercise: excavating your core values. Most of us have never consciously identified our core values. They exist within us, but they may be buried under a layer of societal expectations, family pressures, and shoulds. This exercise is an act of personal archaeology, of digging down to find what is truly and authentically you. Set aside 30 minutes of quiet, uninterrupted time. Take a pen and a notebook. Step 1. The peak moments. Think of 2 or 3 moments in your life when you felt truly alive and deeply proud. These are not necessarily moments of grand achievement. It could be a quiet conversation, a creative breakthrough, or a time you stood up for something you believed in. For each moment, describe it briefly and then answer, what was happening? Who was I with? What deep need was being fulfilled in that moment? What made it feel so right? Step 2. The painful lessons. Now, think of a time you were deeply angry, frustrated, or disappointed. Perhaps someone betrayed your trust, or you saw an injustice you couldn't ignore. Describe the situation and then answer, what felt so wrong about that situation? What important rule of life was being violated? Our anger is a fierce guardian of our values. It often rises when a core value is being threatened. Step 3. The value sort. Look at the list of values below. Circle every word that resonates with you, especially those that connect to your reflections in the first 2 steps. Don't overthink it, just go with your gut. Authenticity, freedom, courage, compassion, connection, creativity, growth, security, stability, adventure, discipline, fairness, honesty, humility, impact, justice, kindness, loyalty, order, passion, peace, recognition, respect, responsibility, service, spirituality, teamwork, trust, wealth, wisdom. Step 4. The final 5. This is the hardest part. From the list you've circled, narrow it down to your top 5. This is a forced choice exercise. Imagine you can only pack 5 values for the rest of your life's journey. Which are the absolute non-negotiables? Which values define who you want to be even when it's difficult? Write them down. Step 5. Define and commit. For each of your final 5 values, write a single sentence that defines what it means to you. For example, if you chose courage, your definition might be to act on my convictions even when I am afraid. This transforms an abstract word into a personal code of conduct. These 5 values are your anchor. Write them down somewhere you will see them often. They are your personal constitution, the bedrock of your resilient self. The rudder of the mind, the power of your beliefs. If values are your anchor, your beliefs are your rudder. A rudder is a small part of a ship, but it has immense power to change the vessel's direction. Your beliefs are the silent, often unconscious, operating system of your mind. They are the stories you tell yourself about reality, and they steer your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Beliefs are the lens through which you interpret every event. A sudden downpour of rain can be interpreted in wildly different ways depending on your underlying belief. Belief A: nothing ever goes right for me. Interpretation: of course it's raining. The universe is against me. My day is ruined. Belief B: the world is a difficult but beautiful place. Interpretation: the rain is inconvenient, but it's also nourishing the earth. I'll find a way to work around it. The event is the same. The belief is what determines the emotional and behavioral response. When it comes to resilience, the most critical set of beliefs we hold are those about our own abilities and the nature of challenges. This is where the groundbreaking work of Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck on mindset becomes essential. Dweck identified 2 fundamental mindsets that shape our approach to life. The fixed mindset. This is the belief that your qualities, your intelligence, your talent, your personality are carved in stone. You have a certain amount, and that's it. Challenges are threats to be avoided as they might expose your deficiencies. Effort is seen as a sign of weakness. If you were truly smart or talented, you wouldn't have to try so hard. Failure is catastrophic. It is a permanent label on your identity. I failed becomes I am a failure. Feedback is taken as personal criticism. The growth mindset. This is the belief that your basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Brains and talent are just the starting point. Challenges are opportunities to grow and stretch your abilities. Effort is the path to mastery and a necessary part of the learning process. Failure is a lesson. It is information about what to do differently next time. I failed means this strategy didn't work. Feedback is a valuable source of information for improvement. A fixed mindset is the ultimate source of fragility. It creates a fear of trying and a terror of failing, making it nearly impossible to bounce forward from adversity. A growth mindset is the foundation of resilience. It allows you to see setbacks not as an indictment of your worth, but as an integral part of the journey toward becoming stronger and more capable. Practical exercise: auditing your beliefs. You cannot change a belief you don't know you have. This exercise helps you bring your limiting beliefs out of the shadows and into the light, where you can consciously examine and reshape them. Step 1. Identify a struggle. Pick one area of your life where you feel stuck or are struggling. It could be related to your career, a relationship, your health, or your finances. Step 2. Listen for the story. What is the automatic thought or story that comes up when you think about this struggle? Be honest. Write it down exactly as you hear it in your head. It often starts with, I'm not, or I can't, or I'll never. I'm just not a creative person. I'm too old to make a major career change. If I ask for what I need, people will think I'm selfish. This is your limiting belief. Step 3. interrogate the belief. Now challenge this belief as if you were a detective cross-examining a witness. Ask these 4 questions and write down your answers. Is this belief 100% true with no exceptions? Can you find even one piece of evidence from your entire life that contradicts it? What does this belief cost me? What opportunities, relationships, or experiences have you missed out on because of it? Who would I be, and what would I do if I didn't hold this belief? Imagine the freedom of letting it go. Step 4. Craft a new, empowering belief. Based on your interrogation, write a new belief that is more true, more empowering, and aligned with a growth mindset. Old belief: I'm just not a creative person. New belief: creativity is a skill that can be developed, and I am capable of exploring new ways of thinking. Old belief: I'm too old to make a major career change. New belief: my experience is a valuable asset, and it's never too late to learn and pursue a new direction. Write this new belief on a sticky note and place it somewhere you'll see it every day. Repeat it to yourself. This is how you begin to consciously steer your mind. Your internal compass. Your values are your anchor, holding you steady in the storm. Your beliefs are your rudder, allowing you to steer toward a chosen destination. When your actions are guided by your anchor and your mind is steered by your rudder, you create an unshakable internal compass. This compass is the source of your resilience. It is the deep, quiet hum of authenticity beneath the loud noise of a crisis. It is the source of the echo. When the storm eventually passes, and it will, the echo of the choices you made in alignment with this compass will reverberate outward, shaping a future that is stronger and more deeply authentic than the one you had before. This is not a one-time exercise, but a lifelong practice of navigation, a constant, gentle returning to the questions, what truly matters to me, and what do I choose to believe? Chapter 3. The Physics of Hardship: How Stress Can Make You Stronger. Place a hand over your heart and think about the last time you were under intense pressure. Perhaps you were about to give a crucial presentation, navigate a difficult conversation, or wait for important news. Can you recall the feeling? The quickening drumbeat in your chest, the shallow, rapid breaths, the electric thrum of energy under your skin, making your hands feel cold and your muscles tighten. For most of us, this constellation of sensations is a red alert. We label it stress or anxiety, and our immediate instinct is to make it stop. We interpret this physical response as a sign that we are not coping, that our body is failing us, that the situation is about to spiral out of control. We see stress as the enemy. What if this is a profound misinterpretation? What if that racing heart wasn't a sign of fear, but your body giving you the energy to rise to a challenge? What if those quick breaths weren't a symptom of panic, but a mechanism for delivering more oxygen to your brain to help you think more clearly? What if the entire stress response is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a powerful ancient resource waiting to be harnessed? Imagine stress as a mighty river. Its current is powerful and relentless. If you are unprepared, you can be swept away, tossed against the rocks, and pulled under. This is the destructive experience of stress that many of us fear. But with the right knowledge and tools, you can build a hydroelectric dam. You can step back, understand the physics of the river, and build a structure that doesn't stop the flow, but channels its immense power, converting it into a clean, sustainable source of energy. This chapter is about learning to become that engineer. It's about understanding the physics of hardship and the biology of stress, not so you can eliminate them, but so you can transform their raw power into the energy of resilience. The Body's Wisdom, a user's guide to the stress response. The so-called fight or flight response is one of the most misunderstood aspects of our biology. We treat it like a design flaw, a glitch in our programming that makes modern life miserable. In reality, it is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering designed for one purpose: to keep you alive. When your brain perceives a challenge, whether it's a tiger in the bushes or a critical email from your boss, it triggers a cascade of hormones. The two most important are adrenaline. This is the first responder. It's the immediate jolt that makes your heart pound, sharpens your senses, and gives you a surge of raw energy. It's what a mother allows to lift a car off her child. Cortisol, often vilified as the stress hormone, plays a more strategic role. It floods your bloodstream with glucose, providing fuel for your muscles and brain. It also dials down non-essential functions like digestion and the immune system so that all your body's resources can be focused on the challenge at hand. This system is brilliant for short-term crises. It turns you into a focused, energized, problem-solving machine. The issue in our modern world is that our tigers are often abstract and long-lasting: a looming deadline, chronic financial insecurity, a toxic work environment. When the stress response is activated for weeks, months, or years on end, the life-saving short-term effects of cortisol become damaging. This is chronic stress, and it is rightfully a major health concern. But the acute stress response, the feeling you get before a challenge, is not the problem. The problem is our relationship to it. Health psychologist Kelly McGonigal's research has revealed something stunning. Your beliefs about stress can change the way your body experiences it. In studies at Harvard University, participants who were taught to view their stress response as helpful and energizing, to see their pounding heart as preparation for action, exhibited different physiological responses. Their blood vessels stayed relaxed, much like they do in moments of joy and courage. This is a revolutionary idea. The physical sensations of stress are not a signal that you are breaking down. They are a signal that your body is rising to an occasion. It is giving you access to your strength. By simply reframing your interpretation from "I'm anxious" to "my body is getting me ready," you can shift from a state of threat to a state of challenge. You begin to work with your body, not against it. Hormesis, the dose that makes you stronger. To understand how challenge leads to growth, we need to look at a fundamental principle in biology called hormesis. The concept is simple. A low dose of a stressor can actually be beneficial and stimulating, while a high dose is harmful. In short, what doesn't kill you can literally make you stronger, but only in the right dose. Life is filled with examples of hormesis. You create microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. This is a form of stress and damage. Your body's response is to repair these tears and add more fiber, making the muscle stronger than before. A manageable amount of this stress leads to growth. Too much, lifting a weight that is far too heavy, leads to a debilitating injury. Vaccines. A vaccine introduces a tiny, harmless dose of a pathogen into your body. This stressor kicks your immune system into high gear, creating antibodies and a memory of the invader. This controlled exposure makes the system more robust and resilient against a future, full-blown infection. Intellectual challenge. Struggling with a difficult math problem or trying to learn a new language feels hard. This cognitive stress forces your brain to form new neural connections. A manageable challenge leads to learning and a sharper mind. An impossible one leads to burnout and frustration. Hormesis is the science behind the bounce-forward phenomenon. Psychological stressors, disappointment, failure, rejection, uncertainty are the emotional equivalent of lifting weights. When we face them in manageable doses, we give our resilience circuits a workout. We learn that we can tolerate discomfort. We develop new problem-solving skills. We strengthen our emotional regulation. A life dedicated to avoiding all stress and discomfort does not lead to happiness and strength. It leads to atrophy. It makes us fragile. By embracing the principle of hormesis, we can start to see small challenges not as annoyances, but as vital training opportunities. Eustress versus distress. Not all stress is created equal. If stress is the river, we must learn to distinguish between a gentle current that guides us and a raging flood that overwhelms us. This is the crucial difference between eustress and distress. Eustress is good stress. It is the kind of pressure that feels motivating, exciting, and productive. It's short-term, perceived as within our coping abilities, and often improves focus and performance. Examples include the butterflies before a first date, the pressure to meet a deadline for a project you care about, the challenge of a competitive game, or the thrill of riding a roller coaster. The feeling is energized, focused, alive. This is the hormetic zone of optimal stress. Distress is bad stress. It is the kind of pressure that feels depleting, anxiety-inducing, and harmful. It can be short-term, but is often chronic, perceived as outside of our coping abilities, and diminishes performance over time. Examples include ongoing conflict in a relationship, a job with impossible demands and no support, long-term financial insecurity, grieving a major loss. The fascinating insight from psychology is that the difference between eustress and distress is not always in the external event itself, but in our internal perception of two factors, predictability and control. When we feel we have some level of control over a situation or can predict its outcome, we are more likely to experience it as a positive challenge, eustress. When we feel powerless and uncertain, the very same situation becomes a threatening ordeal, distress. A core goal of building resilience is not to eliminate stressors, but to increase our sense of internal control and our resources for coping. By doing so, we can shift more of life's challenges from the distress category into the eustress category, transforming threats into opportunities for growth. The adversity spectrum, from training to transformation. Not all hardships are created equal. To apply the principles of hormesis intelligently, it helps to recognize where a particular challenge falls on the adversity spectrum. Level 1. Microstressors, resistance training. These are the daily hassles and annoyances, a traffic jam, a condescending email, a misplaced set of keys. They are the psychological equivalent of a 5-pound dumbbell. We often dismiss them as insignificant, but they are perfect, low-stakes opportunities to practice our resilience skills. This is where we can train ourselves to take a deep breath, reframe our perspective, and choose a value-aligned response instead of a knee-jerk reaction. Level 2. Mesostressors, the endurance test. These are significant life challenges that demand a sustained effort, navigating a major project at work, overcoming a significant financial setback, supporting a family member through an illness. These are the marathon runs of resilience. They require us to actively deploy our entire toolkit, to lean on our values, challenge our limiting beliefs, and draw on our support systems. These are the stressors that most directly build our capacity and show us what we are made of. Level 3. Macrostressors, the earthquakes. These are the rare, life-altering events that shake our foundations. The death of a loved one, a life-threatening diagnosis, a profound betrayal, a natural disaster. These events are not training. They are overwhelming traumas that break us open. They are the source of our deepest pain, but, as we saw in Chapter 1, they are the very events that can trigger profound post-traumatic growth. Navigating these earthquakes requires more than just tools. It requires a deep surrender, a reliance on community, and a search for meaning in the wreckage. By understanding this spectrum, we can respond to hardship more wisely. We can learn not to catastrophize a micro-stressor and to give ourselves the grace and support needed to navigate a macro-stressor. We learn to see the physics of hardship, that different levels of force produce different outcomes. Becoming the alchemist. The physics of hardship dictates that pressure and stress are not bugs in the human experience. They are features. They are the forces that shape us. A life without any pressure would be a shapeless life, devoid of strength and character. The medieval alchemists sought to turn base metals like lead into gold. Their quest wasn't just about chemistry, it was a metaphor for spiritual and psychological transformation. This is the task before us now, to become alchemists of our own experience, to learn to take the raw, heavy, and often toxic material of stress, pressure, and hardship and transmute it into the gold of wisdom, compassion, and strength. This is not a call to seek out suffering. It is a call to change your relationship with the suffering that inevitably finds you. It is the understanding that stress is simply energy. Hardship is simply a force. And you, the conscious human being, have the remarkable ability to choose what you do with it. You can let it break you, or you can use it to forge yourself into someone stronger than you were before. You have now redefined strength, uncovered your values, and understood the transformative physics of hardship. But this alchemy is not meant to be practiced in isolation. The most powerful catalyst in this entire process is connection, as we are about to see. Chapter 4. Listening to Others, the Social Science of a Resilient Spirit. Our culture is saturated with the myth of the lone wolf. We celebrate the solitary entrepreneur who builds an empire from their garage, the maverick detective who defies a corrupt system, the rugged individualist who pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps. The message, whispered in 1,000 different stories, is that true strength is a solitary achievement. To need help, to lean on others, is to be weak. To be resilient is to stand alone against the storm. This myth is not only wrong, it is dangerous. It isolates us at the very moments we need connection the most. It adds a layer of shame to the already heavy burden of our struggles. The unshakable truth, supported by decades of research in neuroscience, psychology, and anthropology, is this: humans are not designed to be lone wolves. We are designed to be a pack. Our resilience is not born in isolation. It is forged in the crucible of connection. The echo of our strength is not a solo performance. It is a harmony created with others. Think of a single, majestic redwood tree standing alone in an open field. It is a magnificent sight, but in a severe storm, its solitary nature is its greatest vulnerability. Its roots have only their own grip on the earth to rely on as the wind lashes its branches. Now picture a forest of redwoods. Below the surface, hidden from view, is a breathtaking secret. The roots of these individual giants are not separate. They are interwoven, fused together in a vast subterranean network. This network allows them to share water and nutrients, and most importantly, it provides an unshakable collective anchor. When the storm comes, the trees hold each other up. The forest endures. This chapter is about understanding that we are a forest, not a collection of individual trees. Our resilience is rooted in the quality of our connections. The neuroscience of we. You are wired to connect. Our deep-seated need for connection is not a weakness. It is a biological imperative written into our neural code. Your brain is a social organ, and it possesses remarkable tools designed specifically to help you connect with, learn from, and draw strength from others. One of the most profound discoveries in modern neuroscience is that of mirror neurons. These specialized brain cells fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you simply watch someone else perform that same action. When you see a friend laugh with joy, a part of your brain is also laughing. When you watch an athlete push past their limits to win a race, your brain is internally simulating their effort and triumph. Mirror neurons are the neurological basis of empathy. They allow us to feel what others feel. And critically, for our purposes, they allow us to learn resilience by observation. When you witness someone else facing adversity with courage, your mirror neurons fire, rehearsing their fortitude within your own mind. You are, in a very real sense, downloading their strength. This biological dance of connection goes even deeper into the core of our nervous system. A key player is the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, which acts as the main communication pathway between the brain and the body's major organs. It is the command center for calming the body, for shifting the nervous system out of the fight or flight state and into a state of rest and digest. When we are in distress, our nervous system is dysregulated. A remarkable process called co-regulation can occur when we are in the presence of a calm, safe person. Their regulated nervous system, communicated through a soothing tone of voice, a comforting touch, or even just a peaceful presence, can directly influence our own. The calm in their body literally helps to restore the calm in ours. This is the science behind why a hug can feel so profoundly healing. It is not just a gesture, it is a biological transaction, a transfer of regulation from one nervous system to another. Finally, there is oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone or cuddle hormone. Released during positive social interactions like hugging, making eye contact, and acts of generosity, oxytocin is a natural antidote to the stress hormone cortisol. It reduces fear, enhances feelings of trust and security, and motivates us to seek out and strengthen our social bonds, especially during times of stress. In fact, research shows that the stress response itself actually encourages the brain to release oxytocin, a mechanism that pushes us to connect with others when we need it most. Your biology doesn't want you to face the storm alone. The scaffolding of support. Building your resilience crew. When a building is damaged or under construction, workers erect a scaffold around it. This external frame provides stability and support, allowing the builders to do the delicate work of repairing or strengthening the internal structure. A strong social network is the emotional and practical scaffolding for a resilient life. It is the structure that holds you up while you do the hard internal work of healing and growing. Psychologists have identified 4 distinct types of social support. A robust network contains all 4. Emotional support. This is the support of empathy, love, and trust. These are the people you can call at 2 a.m., the ones who will listen to your fears without judgment and remind you that you are not alone. They don't need to have the answers. Their presence is the answer. Instrumental support. This is tangible, practical aid. It's the friend who brings over a hot meal when you're sick, the neighbor who watches your children so you can go to an appointment, or the colleague who helps you prepare for a big presentation. This support reduces the logistical burdens of a crisis, freeing up your energy to focus on healing. Informational support. This is the support of advice, guidance, and knowledge. It's the mentor who helps you navigate a career crossroads, the friend who has been through a similar medical diagnosis and can share resources, or the expert who provides a clear path forward. This support reduces uncertainty and empowers you to make informed decisions. Appraisal support. This is the support of honest feedback and affirmation. These are the people who can help you see your situation clearly, challenge your limiting beliefs, and affirm your strengths. They act as a mirror, reflecting your own capabilities back to you when you can't see them yourself. Practical exercise. Mapping your resilience crew. Take out a piece of paper and draw 4 concentric circles, one inside the other, like a target. In the very center, write your name. Innermost circle, emotional support. Write the names of the 1 to 3 people you would turn to in your darkest hour, who provides you with unconditional love and empathy. Second circle, instrumental support. Who are the people you can count on for practical help? List their names here. Third circle, informational support. Who are your mentors, guides, and experts? Who do you go to for advice? Outermost circle, appraisal support. Who are the people who give you honest feedback and believe in you? This map is not a judgment of your friendships. It is a tool. It helps you see where your network is strong and where you might need to consciously cultivate new connections. It also serves as a powerful reminder that you are not as alone as you might feel in a moment of crisis. Vicarious resilience, the echo of other people's strength. Sometimes the most profound source of strength comes from people we've never even met. Vicarious resilience is the process of being positively transformed by witnessing the strength and resourcefulness of others. When you encounter a story of someone who endured the unimaginable and emerged with their spirit intact, their echo reaches you. Hearing these stories does several critical things for our own resilience. It expands our sense of the possible. A story of survival and growth can shatter our own limiting beliefs about what we can handle. It recalibrates our internal scale of what is possible. It provides a blueprint. Stories of resilience are often filled with implicit or explicit strategies for coping. We learn, through the narrative of others, how to navigate our own challenges. It instills hope. Most importantly, these stories combat the profound sense of isolation that often accompanies suffering. They remind us that hardship is a universal human experience and that growth is always a possibility. You can actively cultivate vicarious resilience. Be intentional about the stories you consume. Balance the endless stream of negative news with biographies of people you admire, documentaries about human endurance, or podcasts that share stories of post-traumatic growth. Seek out the elders in your family or community and ask them about the challenges they have overcome. Listen. Let their echo become a part of your own strength. The other side of the coin, the echo you create. So far, we have focused on the strength we draw from others, but the circle of resilience is only complete when we recognize the strength we can give back. One of the most powerful and counterintuitive ways to build your own resilience is to offer support to someone else. When you shift your focus from your own pain to the needs of another, something remarkable happens. You discover your purpose. Offering a helping hand connects you to a sense of purpose beyond your own struggles. As we learned in Chapter 2, this sense of why is a powerful anchor in a storm. You remember your own strength. In the act of comforting a friend or offering advice, you are forced to access your own wisdom and capabilities. You hear yourself giving the very advice you need to hear, reinforcing your own sense of competence. You deepen your bonds. Giving and receiving support is the currency of a strong relationship. By showing up for others, you are making deposits in a relational bank account that you can both draw from in the future. This is where the theme of this book becomes a living practice. Your resilience is not just for you. When you navigate hardship with integrity, when you choose growth over bitterness, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and ask for help, you are creating a powerful echo. Your story, your example, becomes a source of vicarious resilience for the people in your life. The way you handle your storm can become the blueprint that helps someone else navigate theirs. The strength you forge becomes a part of the forest's collective anchor. Part 1 of our journey has now been completed. We have redefined strength, found its source in our values, understood the physics of hardship, and recognized the vital role of connection. We have examined the nature of the sound wave. Now it is time to learn how to tune the instrument. It is time to build the practical, day-to-day skills that will allow you to turn these insights into your lived reality. Part 2. Tuning the Instrument, the 6 Pillars of a Resilient Mind. This is the core practical section of the book, providing actionable tools and strategies. Each chapter focuses on a specific, cultivatable skill. Chapter 5. The Pillar of Mindfulness, Anchoring in the Present Storm. Imagine you are a sailor caught in a violent squall. The world has dissolved into a churning chaos of gray waves and screaming wind. Debris flies past your head. The deck beneath your feet pitches and yaws, offering no stable ground. Your sense of direction is gone. The sky and sea have merged into a single terrifying blur. In this disorienting chaos, your instinct is to fight, to wrestle the wheel, to scream back at the wind. But your efforts are useless against the power of the storm. You are utterly overwhelmed. Now, imagine in the heart of this same storm, there exists a place of impossible calm, a place where the winds die down to a whisper, the sea becomes as smooth as glass, and the sun shines down from a perfect circle of blue sky. This place is the eye of the storm. It doesn't stop the hurricane, but it offers a sanctuary of peace and clarity right in the middle of it. For most of us, our inner life feels like that storm. We are tossed about by waves of difficult emotions, battered by winds of anxious thoughts, and disoriented by the chaos of daily life. We spend our energy fighting the storm, trying to force our thoughts and feelings to submit. But the storm is not ours to control. Mindfulness is the art of finding the eye of the storm within yourself. It is not a technique to stop the chaos of life. It is the radical practice of finding a place of calm, clear-eyed awareness in the very center of it all. It is the first and most fundamental pillar of resilience, because from this stable center, all effective action becomes possible. It is not an escape from the storm. It is the anchor in the heart of it. What mindfulness is and what it isn't. The word mindfulness has become so popular that its true meaning can get lost. Let's start by clearing away some of the most common myths. Myth 1. Mindfulness is about stopping your thoughts or clearing your mind. This is the most common misconception and a primary reason people give up on the practice, saying, "I can't do it, my mind is too busy." Trying to stop your thoughts is like trying to flatten the ocean. The nature of the mind is to think, just as the nature of the ocean is to have waves. Mindfulness is not about stopping the waves. It's about learning how to surf them. It's the skill of observing your thoughts as they arise and pass, without getting swept away by them. Your thoughts are like clouds passing through the vast, open sky of your awareness. You are the sky, not the clouds. Myth 2. Mindfulness is a religious practice. While the techniques of mindfulness have been preserved and refined for millennia within contemplative traditions like Buddhism, the practice itself is a universal human capacity. Mindfulness is not about believing in anything. It's about paying attention to your direct experience. In recent decades, it has been rigorously studied by scientists and integrated into secular programs in hospitals, schools, and corporations worldwide. Think of it not as a religion, but as a form of mental training, a workout for your brain. Myth 3. Mindfulness is about being calm and relaxed all the time. While a sense of calm is often a wonderful byproduct of mindfulness, it is not the goal. The goal is awareness. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing a clear, non-judgmental awareness to whatever is happening in the present moment. This includes awareness of anxiety, frustration, boredom, and pain. True calm doesn't come from forcing yourself to feel peaceful. It comes from the profound freedom of allowing your experience to be exactly what it is, without fighting it. So, what is it? The most widely used definition comes from Jon Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer in bringing secular mindfulness into medicine. Mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Let's break that down. On purpose, it is an intentional act. You are choosing where you place the spotlight of your attention rather than letting it be hijacked by every distraction. In the present moment, it is the gentle practice of returning your awareness to the here and now, to the sensations of your breath, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the sounds in the room, rather than being lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. Non-judgmentally, this is the secret sauce. It is the practice of observing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations with an attitude of curiosity and kindness, rather than the harsh criticism we so often apply to our inner world. The neuroscience of the pause. Why is this simple practice of paying attention so powerful? Because it fundamentally rewires the reactive circuits in our brain. As we discussed earlier, our brains have an ancient alarm system, the amygdala, and a more modern, rational CEO, the prefrontal cortex. When we are not mindful, we live in a state of autopilot, where our amygdala is often in charge. This leads to an instantaneous loop: stimulus, reaction. A driver cuts you off in traffic, you lay on the horn and yell. You receive a critical email. Your heart pounds and you immediately draft an angry response. There is no space, no choice. We are simply a bundle of conditioned reflexes. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Mindfulness is the single most effective tool we have for creating and expanding that precious space. Every time you intentionally bring your attention back to your breath, you are strengthening the neural pathways between your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala. You are exercising the muscle of your PFC, enhancing its ability to regulate the primal alarms of the amygdala. Neuroscientists using fMRI brain scans have observed remarkable physical changes in the brains of people who practice mindfulness regularly. Studies have shown that mindfulness meditation can lead to a decrease in the gray matter density of the amygdala, making it less reactive to perceived threats, and increase in the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, improving focus, emotional regulation, and decision-making. In essence, mindfulness practice allows you to put your inner CEO back in charge. It creates a pause between the stimulus and your response. In that pause, you have the freedom to choose. You have the chance to consult your core values, Chapter 2, and select an action that is wise and constructive, rather than one that is primal and destructive. This pause is the birthplace of resilience. The Toolkit: Formal Mindfulness Practices. Like any skill, mindfulness is developed through consistent practice. Formal practice simply means setting aside a specific time to train your attention, just as you would set aside time to go to the gym. Practice 1. The anchor breath, a 3-minute breathing space. This is your emergency anchor. It can be done anywhere, anytime you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or lost in thought. Step 1. Acknowledge the first minute. Sit or stand upright in a dignified posture. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Ask yourself, what is my experience right now? Notice any thoughts, feelings, like tightness or anxiety, and body sensations. Simply acknowledge them without judgment, as if you were a neutral reporter describing the weather. Step 2. Gather the second minute. Gently redirect the spotlight of your full attention to the physical sensations of your breath. Pick one spot where you feel it most vividly: the coolness of the air at your nostrils, the rising and falling of your chest, or the expansion of your belly. Let your breath be your anchor to the present moment. Your mind will wander. That is what minds do. The practice is not to have a perfectly still mind, but to notice when it has wandered and, gently and kindly, guide it back to the anchor of the breath. Step 3. Expand. The third minute. Now, expand your field of awareness around the breath. Feel the breath in the context of your whole body. Notice your posture, your facial expression, the sensations in your hands and feet. Carry this broader sense of awareness with you as you open your eyes and re-engage with your day. Practice 2. The body scan. This practice is typically done lying down and takes about 15 to 20 minutes. It is a powerful tool for reconnecting a scattered mind with the grounding reality of the body. The instruction is simple. Bring a gentle, curious, and non-judgmental attention to each part of your body one by one. Start with the toes of your left foot. Notice any sensations that are present: tingling, warmth, coolness, pressure, or perhaps no sensation at all. Slowly move your awareness up through your foot to your ankle, your lower leg, your knee, and so on, methodically scanning through your entire body: legs, torso, arms, hands, neck, and head. The goal is not to feel a certain way or to change the sensations. The goal is simply to be aware of what is already here. When you encounter areas of discomfort or pain, the invitation is to breathe into them, bringing a soft, accepting awareness rather than tensing against them. The body scan teaches us a profound lesson in resilience. It trains us to stay present and curious in the face of both pleasant and unpleasant sensations, building our capacity to tolerate discomfort without reacting. The integration. Mindfulness in a busy life. Formal practice is essential, but the ultimate goal is to weave this present moment awareness into the fabric of your everyday life. Mindful moments. Choose one routine activity you normally do on autopilot and commit to doing it with full awareness. Brushing your teeth, for example. Feel the brush in your hand, the taste of the paste, the sensation of the bristles on your gums. Mindful transitions. Use the small moments of in-between as practice. When walking from your car to your office, feel the sensation of your feet hitting the pavement. When waiting for a kettle to boil, listen to the sounds in the room. Mindful communication. The next time you are talking with someone, try to really listen. Notice the urge to interrupt or plan your response. Instead, offer them the gift of your full, undivided attention. These informal practices dissolve the boundary between meditation time and the rest of your life. They transform your entire day into an opportunity to practice. The anchor holds. The storms of life will never cease. The winds of change, the waves of grief, and the sudden squalls of fear are all part of the human journey. We cannot build a wall high enough to keep them out. Mindfulness does not offer a wall. It offers an anchor. With practice, you learn to drop the anchor of your awareness into the deep, calm waters of the present moment, no matter how fiercely the storm rages on the surface. Anchored, you can feel the pitch and sway of the boat without being thrown overboard. You can observe the power of your thoughts and emotions without being capsized by them. From this place of grounded awareness, you can finally see clearly. You can access your wisdom, consult your values, and choose to steer your ship with courage and skill. This pillar of mindfulness is the foundation. It is the practice of showing up for your own life. Upon it, all the other pillars of resilience can be securely built. Chapter 6: The Pillar of Perspective: Authoring a New Narrative. In the early 20th century, the philosopher Alfred Korzybski introduced a revolutionary idea that has profound implications for our daily lives. The map is not the territory. Imagine you are planning a hike. You have a map of the mountain, a detailed representation with contour lines, symbols for rivers, and marked trails. This map is incredibly useful, but it is not the mountain itself. It doesn't show you the exact texture of the trail under your feet, the way the light filters through the trees, or the sudden chill of the wind. And what if the map is old? It might show a bridge that has since washed away or miss a new trail that has been forged. If you cling too tightly to the map, insisting that it is a perfect representation of reality, you will be lost, frustrated, and unable to adapt to the mountain as it truly is. Mindfulness, as we learned in the last chapter, gives us the space to pause and look at our map. This chapter is about what to do in that pause. It's about learning to become a conscious and skilled cartographer of your own mind. It's about realizing that you are not a character trapped in a story you can't control. You are the author. This is the pillar of perspective. The story-making machine. Your brain is, above all else, a story-making machine. It is hardwired to take the messy, chaotic, and often random data of daily life and weave it into a coherent narrative. This is a brilliant survival mechanism. A story gives us a sense of order, a way to predict the future, and a framework for who we are. I am the hard-working student. I am the reliable friend. I am the one who always gets hurt in relationships. These narratives become the lens through which we see the world. And once a story is in place, a powerful psychological force called confirmation bias kicks in. Your brain begins to actively seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms your existing narrative, while conveniently ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts it. If your internal story is, "I'm not good enough," you will interpret a constructive piece of feedback as proof of your incompetence. You will see a friend's canceled plans as a sign of their dislike for you. You will remember every single past failure with vivid detail while conveniently forgetting your many successes. Your story becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are living on a map that only shows you roadblocks and dead ends, blind to the open roads that are all around you. The first step to becoming a better author is to realize that the first draft your mind produces, especially in a moment of stress, is often a piece of reactive, fear-based fiction. The ABCs of your story. A practical framework. To begin redrawing our maps, we can use a simple yet profound tool from cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, developed by psychologist Albert Ellis. It's known as the ABC model, and it helps us deconstruct the link between what happens to us and how we feel. A. Activating event. This is the territory. It is the objective, factual, indisputable event that occurred. It's what a video camera would have recorded. Example: I sent a proposal to a client and they replied saying they chose to go with another firm. B. Beliefs or story. This is your map. It's the immediate interpretation, the narrative, the meaning you assign to the activating event. Example: I'm terrible at my job. That proposal was a failure. My client thinks I'm an amateur. I'll probably lose my other clients too. C. Consequences. These are the emotional and behavioral outcomes that result directly from your beliefs. Example: emotions, feeling ashamed, demoralized, and anxious. Behaviors: procrastinating on other work, avoiding calling other potential clients, feeling unmotivated. The most important insight of this model is that A does not cause C. The client's rejection did not make you feel ashamed and unmotivated. It was your belief, B, about the rejection that created those consequences. This is the single most empowering discovery you can make about your inner life. You often cannot change the activating event, A, but you hold 100% of the power to challenge and change your beliefs about it, B. That is where your freedom lies. Spotting the villains. Common cognitive distortions. Before you can rewrite a story, you need to be able to spot the unhelpful villains that tend to hijack the plot. In psychology, these are known as cognitive distortions. They are predictable patterns of thinking that are consistently inaccurate and negative. Learning to spot them is like getting a pair of glasses that helps you see the flaws in your map. Here are some of the most common villains to watch out for. Catastrophizing, the fortune teller. This villain takes one negative event and spins it into a chain of worst-case scenarios. The story? A date doesn't call you back. This means I'll be alone forever. No one will ever love me. The reality? One person wasn't a match. All or nothing thinking, the perfectionist. This villain sees the world in black and white. If something isn't a total success, it's an absolute failure. You get 95% on an exam. I failed. I should have gotten 100%. I'm so stupid. The reality, you performed exceptionally well. Mind reading, the psychic. This villain believes they know exactly what other people are thinking, and it's always negative. The story? Your boss seems preoccupied in a meeting. She's definitely unhappy with my work. She regrets hiring me. The reality? She could be thinking about her sick child, a deadline, or what to have for lunch. Labeling, the judge. This is an extreme form of all or nothing thinking. Instead of saying, I made a mistake, you apply a harsh global label to yourself. The story? You burn dinner. I'm a useless cook. I can't do anything right. The reality? You made an error on one specific occasion. Emotional reasoning, the reactor. This villain confuses feelings with facts. I feel it, therefore it must be true. The story? I feel really anxious about this presentation, so I must be going to fail. The reality? Feelings of anxiety are normal and have no predictive power over your actual performance. Recognizing these villains in your own thought patterns is a game changer. It allows you to step back and say, that's just the catastrophizing villain talking. I don't have to believe that story. The rewrite, from vicious cycle to virtuous cycle. Now we come to the most active part of the process, the rewrite. We can expand our ABC model to ABCDE to guide us. D. Disputation. This is where you become a compassionate but firm journalist, cross-examining your initial belief. B. Ask yourself these questions. The evidence question. What is the concrete evidence for and against this thought? Is it 100% true? The alternative question. Is there another, more positive or realistic way to look at this situation? The implication question. Even if this thought is true, what are the real-world implications? Am I exaggerating them? The usefulness question. Is holding on to this belief helpful? Is it helping me become the person I want to be? E. Effective new narrative. This is the new, more balanced and constructive story you create after disputing your old one. This, in turn, leads to new and more helpful emotions and behaviors. Let's see the full ABCDE model in action. A. Activating event. A friend you texted yesterday hasn't replied. B. Belief, the first draft. They must be mad at me. I said something wrong. Our friendship is probably over. Mind reading, catastrophizing. C. Consequences: feeling anxious, repeatedly checking your phone, replaying your last conversation, feeling insecure. D. Disputation, the rewrite. Evidence: is there any real evidence they're mad? No. They've been a good friend for years. Last week we had a great time. Alternative: maybe they're just busy with work. Maybe their phone died. Maybe they saw it and forgot to reply. I do that all the time. Usefulness: is obsessing over this helping me? No, it's just making me miserable and anxious. It's not helping our friendship. E. Effective new narrative. My friend is probably just busy. I trust our friendship is strong enough to handle a slow text reply. I'll put my phone away and focus on my work. They will get back to me when they can. New consequences: feeling calm and secure, being productive, enjoying your day. You hold the pen. The pillar of perspective is not about lying to yourself or engaging in blind positive thinking. It is not about pretending that painful territory doesn't exist. It is about the courageous and honest work of drawing a map that serves you, a map that is more accurate, more compassionate, and more empowering. Mindfulness gives you the awareness to notice that you are lost. Perspective gives you the tools to redraw the map. This is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. At first, it will feel slow and deliberate, but with time, you will become a faster and more skilled author. You will learn to catch the villains of distortion before they can hijack your story. You will learn to write a new draft on the fly, one that acknowledges the hardship of the territory while simultaneously highlighting the paths of possibility. You hold the pen, the story of who you are, what you are capable of, and how you will bounce forward from this moment is not yet written. Take a deep breath. Begin the rewrite. Chapter 7. The Pillar of Self-Compassion, the Antidote to the Inner Critic. There is a Buddhist parable that speaks of two arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of life. It is the difficult diagnosis, the unexpected layoff, the rejection from someone you love, the mistake you make despite your best intentions. This first arrow is, to some degree, outside of our control. Sooner or later, life will shoot one at you. But then there is the second arrow. This is the arrow we shoot at ourselves. It is the arrow of judgment, blame, and shame that follows the initial pain. I can't believe I was so stupid. I should have seen this coming. This is all my fault. I'm a complete failure. Why does this always happen to me? There must be something wrong with me. The wound from the first arrow is real, but it is the second arrow that often causes the deepest and most lasting suffering. The second arrow is our inner critic, taking a painful situation and making it 1,000 times worse by turning it into an indictment of our fundamental worth. And here is the most important part of the story. The second arrow is optional. The pillar of self-compassion is the profound and life-changing skill of learning to put down the second arrow. It is not about pretending the first arrow didn't hurt. It is about learning to treat the initial wound with kindness, tenderness, and understanding rather than rubbing salt in it. It is the antidote to the inner critic, the fuel for sustainable motivation, and the gentle yet unwavering foundation upon which true resilience is built. What self-compassion is, and what it isn't. In a culture that often equates toughness with strength, the idea of self-compassion can be easily misunderstood. Many of us carry a deep-seated fear that if we are kind to ourselves, we will become weak, lazy, or self-absorbed. So let's be very clear about what self-compassion is not. It is not self-pity. Self-pity is a state of immersive victimhood. It narrows our focus to our own problems and says, "Poor me." It often leads to feeling isolated and disconnected. Self-compassion, by contrast, widens our perspective. It recognizes that suffering is a part of the shared human condition and says, "This is so hard right now. Just like me, other people struggle and feel pain." It fosters connection, not isolation. It is not self-indulgence. Self-indulgence is about chasing short-term pleasure and avoiding responsibility. Like, I'll just eat this whole cake and watch TV instead of dealing with my problems. Self-compassion is about long-term well-being. It asks, what is the truly kind and healthy thing to do for myself right now? Sometimes that might be rest, but often it's the courage to face a difficult situation, to apologize for a mistake, or to try again after a failure, all while treating yourself with support rather than scorn. It is not self-esteem. This is a crucial distinction. Self-esteem is a judgment of our self-worth, and it's often conditional. We feel good about ourselves when we succeed, when we are praised, or when we feel we are better than average. This makes it incredibly fragile. The moment we fail or are criticized, our self-esteem can collapse. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is not a judgment of your worth. It is a way of relating to yourself. It is unconditional. You offer yourself kindness not because you are special or successful, but simply because you are a human being who is suffering. It is a stable, internal source of support that is there for you when you fail, precisely when self-esteem deserts you. So, what is it? According to the pioneering researcher Dr. Kristen Neff, self-compassion is simply compassion directed inward. It means treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and concern you would show to a good friend. It is comprised of three core components. The three pillars of self-compassion. 1. Self-kindness versus self-judgment. This is the heart of the practice. Instead of meeting your own mistakes and imperfections with a barrage of harsh criticism, you choose to meet them with warmth, gentleness, and understanding. It's about actively soothing and comforting yourself when you are in pain. The voice of self-judgment. You idiot, how could you make such a stupid mistake? You've ruined everything. You are so incompetent. The voice of self-kindness. Wow, that was a really painful mistake. It's understandable to feel upset and disappointed. You are going through a hard time, and it's okay to be imperfect. Let's take a deep breath. Self-kindness doesn't ignore the problem, but it creates a supportive inner environment where you can actually learn from it without being paralyzed by shame. Common humanity versus isolation. When we fail or suffer, our immediate instinct is often to feel that we are alone in our misery. The inner critic tells us, everyone else has it together. You are the only one who is this messed up. This feeling of isolation is a core feature of suffering. Common humanity is the powerful antidote. It is the recognition that suffering, failure, and imperfection are not abnormal. They are an inescapable part of the shared human experience. Life is not perfect for anyone. Everyone struggles. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone feels inadequate at times. This recognition is profoundly healing. It reframes your personal crisis from an isolating event, like, why me, to a connecting one. Just like me, others feel this way too. Your pain doesn't cut you off from the world. It is the very thing that connects you to all of humanity. This final component links directly back to our pillar of mindfulness. To have compassion for our own suffering, we first have to be able to acknowledge it without being consumed by it. Over-identification is when our pain becomes our identity. We get caught in the storm of our negative emotions. We aren't feeling sad. We are sad. We aren't feeling like a failure. We are a failure. Mindfulness allows us to take a more balanced perspective. It is the ability to hold our painful thoughts and feelings in a spacious, clear-eyed awareness. We can say, here is the feeling of shame, or there is the thought that I am not good enough. We observe the pain without becoming the pain. This space is essential because it allows us to step back and respond with our newfound tools of kindness and a sense of common humanity. The flawed logic of the inner critic. Many of us hold a deep-seated belief. If I'm not hard on myself, I'll become lazy. I'll lose my edge. My inner critic is what motivates me to succeed. This logic feels compelling, but it is fundamentally flawed. In fact, science shows us it is the exact opposite of the truth. Think about it from a neurological perspective. When you attack yourself with harsh self-criticism, you are activating your brain's threat defense system. Your amygdala sounds the alarm, and your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. This fight or flight state is designed for survival, not for growth. It leads to anxiety, defensiveness, fear of failure, and often procrastination and avoidance. It is a terrible motivational system because it's based on fear. Self-compassion, on the other hand, activates the brain's caregiving system. This system, which evolved to help us care for our offspring, releases hormones like oxytocin. This creates feelings of safety, security, and trust. This is the optimal mindset for learning and growth. When you feel safe, you are more willing to take healthy risks, to admit your mistakes, and to try again after you fail. Imagine you are teaching a child to ride a bicycle. When they fall off, do you scream at them? "You're so clumsy, you'll never get it. What's wrong with you?" Of course not. You would say, "It's okay, everyone falls. That was a great try. Let's get you back up and figure out what we can do differently." We instinctively know that encouragement, not criticism, is the best teacher. Self-compassion is simply the act of becoming that wise and patient coach for yourself. The Toolkit: How to Practice Self-Compassion. Practice 1. The Self-Compassion Break. This is a simple, powerful practice you can use anytime, anywhere you are experiencing a difficult emotion. It has 3 steps, mirroring the 3 components. Acknowledge the pain. Mindfulness. Say to yourself, "This is a moment of suffering," or "This hurts." This simple recognition validates your experience. Connect to humanity, common humanity. Remind yourself, suffering is a part of life, or "I'm not alone. Other people feel this way too." Offer kindness, self-kindness. Place a hand gently over your heart or on your cheek. Feel the warmth and gentle pressure. Say to yourself, "May I be kind to myself," or "May I give myself the compassion I need right now." Practice 2. Writing a compassionate letter to yourself. Think of something about yourself that you dislike or that makes you feel inadequate, a perceived failure, a physical flaw, a habit you can't seem to break. Now imagine a friend who is infinitely wise, loving, and compassionate. This friend accepts you exactly as you are. Write a letter to yourself from the perspective of this friend. What would they say to you about this specific issue? How would they express their kindness, their understanding of the common human struggle, and their unwavering support for you? Read the letter to yourself and let the words sink in. Practice 3. Create a self-compassion mantra. Develop a short, memorable phrase you can repeat to yourself when your inner critic starts its tirade. The key is to find words that feel authentic to you. "I am doing the best I can in this difficult moment." "It's okay to be imperfect." "I am enough, right now, just as I am." The voice of your own ally. The echo of resilience is not a shout, it is often a whisper. And for that whisper to be one of strength, it cannot be drowned out by an inner voice of relentless criticism. Building the pillar of self-compassion is the practice of changing the tone of your inner world. It is the deliberate act of cultivating a voice that is warm, supportive, and wise. It is the commitment to becoming your own greatest ally, rather than your own worst enemy. This compassionate inner presence doesn't mean you will never feel pain again. The first arrows will still come, but it ensures that you will never again have to face that pain alone. It guarantees that no matter what storm rages outside, you will always have a safe harbor inside. This is the echo of true kindness, and it is one of the most powerful and transformative sounds you will ever learn to create. Chapter 8. The Pillar of Physicality. The Body as a Resonant Chamber. For the past several chapters, we have been exploring the inner world. We have worked to find the anchor of our values, to rewrite the maps of our perspective, and to cultivate the gentle voice of self-compassion. This is the essential work of tuning the music of our resilient spirit. But music requires an instrument. A breathtaking symphony, perfectly composed, is nothing more than silent notes on a page until it is brought to life by the resonant wood of a violin, the vibrating brass of a horn, and the taut skin of a drum. The quality of the instrument is not incidental to the music, it is inseparable from it. If the violin's wood is damp and cracked, or the horn's metal is dented, the music will be distorted, weak, and dissonant, no matter how brilliant the composition. Your body is the instrument on which the music of your resilience is played. For centuries, we in the Western world have been taught to think of the mind and body as separate entities. The mind was the enlightened, rational captain, and the body was the dumb brute vessel it commanded. We learned to ignore its signals, push it past its limits, and treat it as an accessory to the real work happening in our heads. This chapter is about dismantling that false and damaging separation. The pillar of physicality is the recognition that you are not a brain driving a machine, you are a single, deeply integrated system. Your mental state is profoundly affected by your physical state and vice versa. Your body is not a container for your resilience, it is the resonant chamber through which the echo of your strength is either amplified into a powerful symphony or dampened to a muted whisper. The mind-body freeway. The connection between mind and body is not a New Age metaphor, it is a biological fact, a bustling, six-lane superhighway of information. The primary road on this highway is the vagus nerve, a massive cranial nerve that wanders from the brainstem down through the chest and into the abdomen, connecting to the heart, lungs, and digestive tract along the way. Crucially, this is a bidirectional highway. While the brain sends signals down to the body, an estimated 80% of the traffic on the vagus nerve is flowing upward, from the body to the brain. Your gut is constantly sending information about your internal state to the emotional centers of your brain. This is why a gut feeling is more than just a phrase. An inflamed gut can send signals that the brain interprets as anxiety or depression. A calm gut sends signals of safety and well-being. This ability to sense the internal state of your body is called interoception. It is your awareness of your own heartbeat, your breathing, the tension in your muscles, the feeling of hunger or fatigue. A well-developed sense of interoception is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence and resilience. When you are attuned to your body's subtle signals, you can respond to its needs proactively, before whispers of fatigue turn into shouts of burnout. Mindfulness, especially the body scan practice we explored in Chapter 5, is the most direct way to train your interoceptive awareness. The mind-body connection is clear. When we neglect our physical instrument, we are pouring static onto the communication lines that our brain needs to function well. A body that is exhausted, poorly nourished, and stagnant creates a brain that is anxious, foggy, and reactive. To build mental resilience, we must first build a foundation of physical well-being. The foundation of sleep, the brain's housekeeper. We live in a culture that treats sleep as a luxury or a necessary evil, a period of inconvenient inactivity that gets in the way of our productivity. This is a profound and dangerous misunderstanding. Sleep is a non-negotiable, fundamental biological process that is as essential to our health as breathing or eating. It is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body for the next day. While you are asleep, your body is anything but inactive. It is performing critical maintenance that is essential for resilience. Emotional recalibration. During REM sleep, the brain processes the emotional experiences of the day. The connection between your emotional alarm system, amygdala, and your rational CEO, prefrontal cortex, is fine-tuned. A lack of sleep leads to a hyperreactive amygdala and a sluggish prefrontal cortex, a recipe for emotional volatility, anxiety, and poor decision-making. Memory consolidation. Sleep acts like a librarian for your brain, filing away important information and experiences into long-term memory, while clearing out the trivial clutter. This is essential for learning and problem-solving. Cellular cleanup. While you sleep, a remarkable process called the glymphatic system kicks into high gear. It acts like the brain's waste disposal crew, flushing out metabolic byproducts and toxic proteins that accumulate during waking hours. To put it simply, a sleep-deprived brain is a dirty, emotionally frayed, and inefficient brain. Prioritizing sleep is not lazy. It is the bedrock of mental and emotional strength. Practical tip: the art of sleep hygiene. Consistency is key. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. This stabilizes your internal clock. Create a sanctuary. Make your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. It should be a haven for rest, not a multi-purpose entertainment center. The electronic sundown. The blue light emitted by phones, tablets, and computers suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. Power down all screens at least an hour before bed. Create a wind-down ritual. Instead of working or scrolling right up until you turn off the lights, create a calming routine. Reading a physical book, gentle stretching, listening to calm music, or taking a warm bath. The fuel of nutrition. Nourishing your second brain. The old adage, "you are what you eat," is more accurately, "you are what you absorb." The primary site of that absorption, your gastrointestinal tract, is so complex and influential that scientists now refer to it as the second brain. Your gut contains hundreds of millions of neurons and is home to a teeming, diverse ecosystem of trillions of bacteria known as the gut microbiome. This microbiome is a critical partner in your mental health. These tiny organisms help produce over 90% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter of well-being, and a significant amount of GABA, the neurotransmitter of calm. The food you eat is the primary determinant of which bacteria thrive in this inner garden. A diet rich in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats promotes the growth of inflammatory bacteria, which can send stress signals up the vagus nerve to the brain, contributing to anxiety and low mood. A diet rich in diverse, fiber-rich plant foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, feeds the beneficial bacteria that produce calming neurotransmitters and protect the gut lining. The goal is not to adopt a punishing, restrictive diet, which can be a source of stress in itself. The goal is nourishment. Think about adding more good things rather than just taking away the bad. Can you add one more vegetable to your dinner? Can you swap a sugary soda for a glass of water? Small, consistent choices to nourish your second brain provide the essential chemical building blocks for a resilient mind. The power of movement. Change your mind by changing your body. When you are stuck in a loop of anxious thoughts or a feeling of heavy lethargy, thinking your way out of it can feel impossible. In these moments, physical movement is the fastest and most reliable way to change your state. Exercise is not just about burning calories. It is a powerful neurochemical event. It releases endorphins. These are your body's natural opioids, creating the feeling of well-being known as a runner's high. It burns off stress hormones. The fight or flight response is designed to prepare you for physical action. When you experience stress while sitting at a desk, that energy has nowhere to go. A brisk walk, a set of push-ups, or even just dancing to a song in your living room helps to complete the stress cycle, metabolizing the excess cortisol and adrenaline and signaling to your body that the danger has passed. It grows your brain. Exercise stimulates the production of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Neuroscientists call BDNF miracle grow for the brain. It supports the survival of existing neurons and encourages the growth of new ones, literally making your brain more plastic, more capable of learning, and more resilient. Resilience is also embodied. Your posture and physical bearing send signals to your brain. When you are feeling defeated, you tend to slump. When you feel confident, you stand tall. The connection works both ways. The simple act of pulling your shoulders back, lifting your chin, and taking up more physical space can send a feedback signal to your brain that fosters a feeling of greater strength and capability. The key is to find movement you enjoy and to make it a consistent part of your life. It doesn't have to be a punishing hour at the gym. A 15-minute walk at lunchtime can be enough to clear your head and reset your nervous system. The body keeps the score. As the psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk so aptly titled his seminal book, The Body Keeps the Score. Our bodies are the living, breathing diaries of our life experiences. They store our tension in tightened shoulders, our grief in a heavy chest, and our joy in a relaxed smile. To build lasting resilience, we cannot treat the body as an afterthought. We must learn to listen to its wisdom, honor its limits, and provide it with the fundamental care it needs to function as a strong, clear, and resonant instrument. By tending to our sleep, nourishing our body, and moving it with intention, we are not taking a break from the work of resilience. We are engaging in its most foundational practice. We are creating an instrument that is capable of enduring the most challenging compositions and amplifying the most beautiful and powerful echoes of our strength. Chapter 9. The Pillar of Purpose. Finding Meaning in the Mess. Between 1942 and 1945, the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl was stripped of everything a human being can lose: his family, his home, his career, his name, his hair, his dignity. All were taken from him in the hellscape of the Nazi concentration camps. He endured starvation, disease, and unimaginable brutality. He lived daily with the arbitrary nature of death, knowing that a single glance from a guard could be his end. And yet, in the midst of this absolute suffering, Frankl made a profound discovery. He observed that the prisoners who had the best chance of survival were not necessarily the youngest or the physically strongest. They were the ones who held on to a sense of meaning, a reason to endure. They were the ones who had a why. For one man, it was the beloved wife waiting for him. For another, it was an unfinished series of scientific books that only he could write. Frankl himself survived by clinging to his own purpose, the desire to see his wife again, and the drive to one day lecture about the psychology of the concentration camp, to teach the world what he was learning about the human spirit in the crucible of suffering. This experience became the foundation of his life's work. He concluded that the deepest and most powerful drive in human beings is not the pursuit of pleasure or power, but the will to meaning. Imagine you are a ship's captain, navigating a vast, dark ocean on a moonless night. Your instrument panel has gone dark. You have no idea what lies ahead. Panic and despair are moments away. But then, through a break in the clouds, you see it. A single, unmoving point of light. Polaris, the North Star. Suddenly, your situation is transformed. The sea is still dangerous, the night is still dark, but you are no longer lost. You have a fixed point to orient yourself by. You have a direction. Purpose is your psychological North Star. It does not promise a calm sea or a cloudless sky, but it provides a transcendent guiding light that gives your journey a direction, especially when you are navigating the messy, disorienting darkness of hardship. This pillar of purpose is the ultimate fuel for resilience. It transforms the question from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What meaning can I create from this?" Beyond happiness, the will to meaning. Our modern culture is obsessed with the pursuit of happiness. We are told that a successful life is one filled with positive emotions and a minimum of pain. But this relentless chase after happiness is often a recipe for fragility. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, a temporary weather pattern that is highly dependent on external circumstances. When the storm of adversity hits, a life built solely on the pursuit of happiness can easily crumble. Frankl offered a more robust alternative. He argued that a life of meaning is far more resilient. Meaning is not an emotion, it is a cognitive and spiritual framework. It is a sense of coherence, significance, and purpose that can coexist with pain, grief, and failure. You can be suffering deeply and still feel that your life has profound meaning. Crucially, Frankl believed that meaning is not something you invent in your own head. It is something you discover out in the world. It is found in self-transcendence, the act of directing your attention and energy towards something or someone outside of yourself. A life of meaning is not about asking, "What do I want from life?" It is answering the question, "What is life asking of me right now?" The 3 pathways to a meaningful life. If meaning is something to be discovered, where do we look for it? Frankl identified 3 primary pathways, each accessible to every human being, regardless of their circumstances. Pathway 1. The way of contribution, what we give. This is the most straightforward path, finding meaning by creating a work or doing a deed. It is about what we contribute to the world. This can be our life's work, a creative passion, or an act of service. It is the meaning found in building a business, raising a family, volunteering at a shelter, tending a garden, or writing a book. The scale is irrelevant. The key is the shift in orientation from self-interest to service. A person who sees their job not just as a way to earn a paycheck, but as a way to contribute to the well-being of others, has tapped into a deep wellspring of resilience. Their motivation is no longer dependent on a good mood or an easy day. Pathway 2. The way of connection, what we receive. This pathway is about what we take from the world with love and appreciation. Meaning can be discovered in the profound act of experiencing something or encountering someone. It is the meaning found in the pursuit of truth through science or philosophy. And most powerfully, it is the meaning found in loving another human being in all their unique, imperfect glory. This pathway is a vital source of strength because it is available even when we are physically unable to contribute, when we are sick, old, or constrained by circumstance. The simple, profound act of loving another person can be enough to give a life ultimate meaning. Pathway 3. The way of courage, the attitude we choose. This is Frankl's most profound discovery, the pathway to meaning that can never be taken away from us. It is the meaning we find in the attitude we choose toward an unavoidable suffering. When we are faced with a situation we cannot change, a terminal illness, an irreversible loss, we are presented with a last great freedom, the freedom to choose how we will respond. We can face our fate with bitterness and despair, or we can face it with courage, dignity, and grace. In choosing our attitude, we can turn a personal tragedy into an inner triumph. The meaning is not in the suffering itself, but in the human capacity to rise above it. This is the ultimate alchemy of the human spirit. Ikigai, a practical map for your purpose. The Japanese concept of ikigai offers another powerful framework. While not a direct translation, it can be understood as a reason for being, or the reason you get up in the morning. The Ikigai model is often represented as a Venn diagram with 4 overlapping circles. What you love, your passions, your interests, what makes you feel alive. What you are good at, your skills, your talents, both natural and learned. What the world needs, a problem you can solve, a service you can offer, a way you can contribute. What you can be paid for, the skills that have economic value in society. The intersection of these circles illuminates a path. The overlap of what you love and what you're good at is your passion. The overlap of what the world needs and what you can be paid for is your profession. Finding a way to integrate all 4 is the sweet spot of Ikigai. Practical exercise, your Ikigai map. You don't need to find a single job that fulfills all 4 circles. Instead, use this as a map to ensure you are nourishing all these aspects across the different areas of your life. Draw the 4 circles. In each one, brainstorm a list. What activities have you lost track of time doing? What you love. What do friends and family ask for your help with? What you're good at. What problems in your community or the world break your heart? What the world needs. What skills do you have that people value? Don't censor yourself. This is an exploration, not a test. The goal is to spark a deeper inquiry into how you can live a more integrated and purposeful life. Finding meaning in your mess. This is all very inspiring, you might say, but my life is a mess right now. I'm just trying to get through the day. This is the most critical moment to engage with the pillar of purpose. Your current struggle is not a detour from your meaningful life. It is the very path on which your meaning can be forged. Use Frankl's pathways as a lens through which to view your mess. Contribution. How might what you are learning in this struggle eventually be a gift to someone else? Could your story one day provide hope? Could the compassion you are developing for yourself be extended to others in similar situations? Connection. What has this hardship stripped away, revealing what and who is truly important? Has it deepened your relationships? Has it given you a new appreciation for the simple beauty of a quiet morning or a kind word? Courage. Who do you want to be in the midst of this struggle? What values, from Chapter 2, do you want to embody? Every moment offers a choice to act with dignity, kindness, and courage, infusing even the most painful of times with a profound sense of meaning. The compass in your hand. Purpose is not a grand, singular destination that you must spend your life searching for. It is not a treasure hidden on a remote island. It is a compass that you carry in your hand, right now. It is a tool that helps you find meaning in the small daily choices you make. It is the choice to be kind when you are feeling impatient, the choice to seek out beauty when your world feels ugly, the choice to offer your skills in service of something beyond yourself, the choice to face your pain with an open heart. This sense of purpose is the ultimate why that gives us the strength to endure almost any how. It orients our finely tuned instrument, our mind, our body, our heart, and gives our life a resonant, unwavering direction. With this compass in hand, we are ready to face the final pillar of resilience, the art of adapting to the unpredictable winds of change. Chapter 10: The Pillar of Adaptability, Bending Without Breaking. There is an old parable, told in many forms, of a mighty oak tree and a slender reed growing side by side on a riverbank. The oak was a magnificent specimen, thick of trunk and strong of limb. It took great pride in its strength, often mocking the reed for its weakness. "I stand firm against the sky," the oak would boast. "You bend and bow to every little breeze that passes." The reed never argued. One night, a violent storm descended. The wind howled with a force neither had ever experienced. The oak tree, true to its nature, resisted. It strained every fiber of its being, holding its ground, refusing to yield an inch to the gale. The reed, meanwhile, simply let go. It bent low, almost parallel to the ground, allowing the full force of the wind to pass harmlessly over it. When the morning came, the storm had passed. The reed stood upright again, glistening and unharmed in the new sun. The mighty oak, however, lay in ruin, its massive trunk snapped in two by the unyielding force of the wind. For our entire lives, we are taught to be the oak. We are taught that strength is about being firm, unyielding, and in control. But in the unpredictable storms of life, rigidity is not strength, it is fragility. True, lasting resilience is the strength of the reed. It is the pillar of adaptability, the dynamic and courageous skill of bending with the winds of reality without breaking your spirit. It is the final and most crucial step in tuning your instrument, bringing all the other pillars together into a graceful, life-affirming dance. The beautiful illusion of control. At the root of our rigidity is a deep and understandable human need, the desire for certainty and control. We create 5-year plans, build rigid routines, and cling to fixed identities. I am a successful lawyer. I am a healthy person. Because we believe these structures will protect us from the chaos and uncertainty of life. We believe that if we just build our oak tree strong enough, no storm can touch us. But this is an illusion. The only absolute certainty in life is uncertainty. The only constant is change. Plans will be disrupted. Identities will be challenged. The ground beneath our feet will shift. A resilient person understands this. They recognize that trying to control the uncontrollable is a fast path to exhaustion and despair. Instead of focusing their energy on controlling the wind, they focus on cultivating their ability to bend with it. This is the core of psychological flexibility, a concept from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. It is the ability to stay present and open to your experience, both the good and the bad, while continuing to move in the direction of your values. It is the art of holding on and letting go at the same time. The resilient dance. Acceptance and commitment. Psychological flexibility is not a passive state. It is an active dance between two core skills, opening up to reality as it is and taking action based on what matters most. Part 1. Acceptance. Dropping the rope. Imagine you are in a tug-of-war with a huge, ugly monster. The monster is pulling you toward a deep pit. Your natural instinct is to pull back with all your might. You dig in your heels, your muscles strain, your knuckles are white. You are completely consumed by the struggle. This monster is your own painful thoughts and feelings, your anxiety, your grief, your self-doubt. The pit is a life dominated by these feelings. This struggle is exhausting, and worse, it's not working. The more you pull, the more the monster pulls back. You are trapped. Acceptance is the radical act of dropping the rope. When you drop the rope, the monster is still there, but you are no longer locked in a draining, pointless struggle with it. Your energy is freed up to do something else. Acceptance is not resignation or approval. It does not mean you like the monster or want it to be there. It simply means you are no longer willing to waste your life fighting an unwinnable battle against your own inner experience. Mindfulness, Chapter 5, is the skill that allows you to notice the rope is in your hands. Self-compassion, Chapter 7, is the kindness that gives you the courage to let it go. Practice. Leaves on a stream. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Imagine yourself sitting by a gently flowing stream with leaves floating along the surface. For the next few minutes, as each thought enters your mind, imagine placing it on a leaf and letting it float by. A worry thought, a planning thought, a happy thought. Each gets its own leaf. Your goal is not to clear the stream, but to sit on the bank and watch the leaves go by without jumping into the water to chase after them. This is the practice of letting your thoughts come and go without struggle. Part 2. Commitment. Doing what matters. Dropping the rope is what allows you to turn your attention from the internal battle to the external world. Acceptance is what frees you up for committed action. Committed action is about taking deliberate steps in the direction of your chosen values, Chapter 2, and purpose, Chapter 9, regardless of how you feel. It is the art of bringing your North Star into your daily life. It is about letting your values, not your moods, guide your feet. Feeling-driven action. I don't feel motivated, so I'll just stay on the couch. Value-driven action. I don't feel motivated, but I value my health, Physicality, Chapter 8, so I will take a 10-minute walk. The monster of anxiety might still be grumbling nearby, but you are no longer yanking on its rope. You can now walk alongside it as you move toward what truly matters to you. Practice. The 2-minute action. Pick one of your core values. Now identify one tiny action, something that takes 2 minutes or less that you can do right now to move toward that value. Value. Connection. Action. Send a text to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Value. Growth. Action. Open a book and read 1 page. Value. Order. Action. Take 2 minutes to clear off one small corner of your desk. This practice proves that you can act on your values even when you're not in the mood, building the crucial muscle of commitment. The creative mindset, beyond the obvious solution. Adaptability is not just an emotional skill, it's a cognitive one. When faced with a setback, a rigid mind sees only the roadblock. A flexible, creative mind sees the roadblock as a pile of raw materials for a new path. This requires overcoming functional fixedness, the mental block that makes us see objects or problems only in their most familiar use. We see a hammer only as a nail pounder, not as a potential paperweight. Similarly, we see a job loss only as a disaster, not as a potential catalyst for a new career. To become more adaptable, we must cultivate divergent thinking, the ability to brainstorm multiple creative solutions. When your original plan is blocked, don't just ask, how can I force this to work? Ask, what are 10 other ways I could approach this? This is the mindset of the potter from our introduction. The storm that destroyed his studio, the problem, also created streaks of beautiful glass in the clay, the raw material. A rigid mindset would have seen only the destruction. His adaptable, creative mindset allowed him to see the possibility, leading to a pivot that was more successful than his original path. The art of the pivot. Sometimes adaptability requires more than just a small course correction. It requires a pivot, a courageous and deliberate change in direction. It is the climber who realizes their planned route is impassable and, after grieving the lost path, begins to chart a new one. Letting go of a cherished plan, a long-held dream, or a core part of your identity is painful. There is a real grief in it. We must use our self-compassion to honor that sense of loss. But clinging to a reality that no longer exists is the surest path to getting stuck. The pivot is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of profound strength and wisdom. It is the ultimate expression of adaptability, the ability to look at the unchangeable reality of the territory and make the brave choice to draw a new map. The resilient dance is where all our work comes together in a dynamic, fluid dance with life. Life is an unpredictable partner. You never know the next step it will take. A rigid dancer tries to force their own steps, resulting in a clumsy, jarring struggle. The adaptable dancer, however, stays present, attentive to their partner's every move. This dance is a beautiful synthesis of all our pillars. You stay grounded and present with the rhythm of the moment, mindfulness. You interpret the music with a creative and empowering story, perspective. You treat yourself and your partner with kindness when you stumble, self-compassion. You have the physical energy and strength to keep moving, physicality. You move with an inner sense of grace and direction, guided by your own style, purpose. This is the dance of resilience. It is the constant, fluid interplay between holding on to your values, to your purpose, and letting go of your rigid expectations, your struggle with reality, your need for control. It is the wisdom of the reed, bending with the storm, secure in the knowledge that its roots are deep, nourished, and strong. We have now fully tuned our instrument. We are ready to take this practice out into the world and discover the true power of its echo. Part 3. The Echo in the World, Living a Resilient Life. This final section moves from the internal world to the external, showing how a cultivated resilience echoes into every domain of life. Chapter 11. The Echo in Your Career, Navigating Professional Turbulence. For generations, the prevailing metaphor for a professional life was the career ladder. The path was linear, predictable, and clear. You started on the bottom rung, and with hard work and loyalty, you steadily climbed your way to the top of a single organization. Success was measured in height, how high up the ladder you could get. That metaphor is now a relic. For most of us, it no longer reflects reality. The modern career is not a ladder, it is a whitewater river. It is a dynamic, exhilarating, and often turbulent journey. There are stretches of calm, steady currents where progress feels easy, but there are also churning rapids of sudden change, like layoffs or reorganizations. There are unexpected forks in the river, where a new opportunity pulls you in a direction you never anticipated. There are deep eddies of office politics that can trap you, and draining whirlpools of burnout that can pull you under. To thrive in this new landscape, you cannot be a rigid ladder climber. You must become a skilled and resilient rafter. You must learn to read the currents, to paddle through rough patches, and to steer with intention. This requires more than just technical skill. It requires a deep and abiding inner strength. This chapter is about taking the Resilience Toolkit we have so carefully assembled in Part 2 and applying it to the exhilarating and often challenging river of your professional life. The rapids of setback, job loss, and failure. The rapids are the most frightening parts of the river. They are the sudden acute shocks to our professional lives, the unexpected layoff, the high-stakes project that fails, the promotion we were rejected for. These moments can feel like being thrown from the raft into the icy water. Navigating a job loss. Losing a job is rarely just a financial crisis. It is an identity crisis. The roles, routines, and relationships that structured our days are suddenly gone. The first arrow of the event is painful enough. It is the second arrow of self-blame that can truly make us sink. This is where your resilience practice becomes your life raft. Deploy self-compassion first. Chapter 7. Before you update your resume, before you start networking, you must tend to the wound. Acknowledge the pain, the fear, and the grief without judgment. Say to yourself, this is incredibly hard. It's okay to feel lost and scared. This is not self-indulgence. It is essential first aid for your spirit. It stops you from shooting the second arrow. I'm a failure. I'm worthless. Rewrite your map. Chapter 6. Your mind's first draft story will likely be catastrophic. Use the ABCDE model to consciously author a new one. A. Activating event. I lost my job. B. Initial belief. My career is over. No one will hire me. C. Consequences. Feeling hopeless, paralyzed, not applying for new jobs. D. Disputation. Is it really true that my entire career is over? No. Millions of successful people have been laid off. This is a painful chapter, not the end of the book. E. Effective new narrative. This is a significant setback, and it's okay to be disappointed. It's also an unexpected opportunity to find a role that is even more aligned with my values. Reconnect with your compass. Chapter 9. A layoff forcibly pushes you off your path. This is a terrifying but powerful opportunity to check your compass. Use the Ikigai framework. What did you love about your last job? What did you loathe? What does the world need now that your unique skills can provide? This setback can be the catalyst for a more purposeful pivot. Navigating failure and rejection. When a project fails or you're passed over for a promotion, the temptation is to adopt a fixed mindset. I'm just not good enough. A resilient professional consciously activates a growth mindset. Chapter 2. Failure is not a verdict, it is data. It is valuable information about what needs to be improved, rethought, or learned. The echo you create in these moments is critical. Do you become known as the person who blames others and retreats, or the person who takes ownership, learns from the data, and comes back with a better strategy? The latter reputation is forged exclusively in the fires of failure. The whirlpool of burnout, when the river drains you. Burnout is more than just stress. It is a state of profound depletion, emotional, physical, and mental, often accompanied by a deep cynicism and a sense of utter ineffectiveness. It is the treacherous whirlpool that can form when you have been paddling against the current for too long. Often, burnout is a sign of a deep values conflict. It's the friction created by spending 40 hours a week doing work that is misaligned with your core why. Your Resilience Toolkit is both a diagnostic and a recovery guide. Triage the instrument. Chapter 8. Burnout is an embodied state of exhaustion. You cannot think your way out of it. The first step is to address your physicality. Prioritize sleep. Nourish your body with real food. Engage in gentle movement, like walking in nature. You must replenish your physical energy before you can tackle the mental and emotional aspects. Conduct a values audit. Chapter 2 and 9. Once you have a little more energy, ask the hard questions. Which of my core values are being violated by my current work? Am I connected to any sense of purpose, or am I just churning out tasks? Burnout is often a desperate signal from your deeper self that a significant change is needed. A vacation might offer temporary relief, but if the underlying values conflict remains, you will be pulled right back into the whirlpool. Practice mindfulness. Chapter 5. Use mindfulness not to escape the feelings of burnout, but to notice them earlier. Develop the interoceptive awareness to recognize the early warning signs, the subtle increase in irritability, the feeling of dread on Sunday evening, the growing cynicism, before they become a full-blown crisis. The eddies of conflict, difficult colleagues and environments. Sometimes the most draining parts of the river are the interpersonal eddies, the difficult boss, the toxic team, the negative colleague. We can waste enormous amounts of energy trying to change people and situations that are outside of our control. Resilience here is the art of focusing your energy where it matters. A useful tool is the circle of control. Imagine two circles. The outer circle contains everything you are concerned about but cannot directly control. For example, a colleague's personality. The inner circle contains what you can control. For example, your own reactions, your boundaries, the quality of your work. Radical Acceptance, Chapter 10. Drop the rope in the tug-of-war of trying to change your difficult colleague. Accept that they are who they are. This frees up your energy. Committed Action, Chapter 10. Focus entirely on your circle of control. Instead of complaining about them, concern, focus on what you can do. Influence. This means setting clear, firm boundaries. It means communicating respectfully but directly. It means choosing to be guided by your value of professionalism, not your feeling of frustration. Build your crew. Chapter 4. You cannot survive a toxic environment alone. Actively build alliances with positive, supportive colleagues. This resilience crew can provide perspective, emotional support, and practical advice, making the eddies far more navigable. Your professional echo. Your career is one of the primary chambers in which the echo of your resilience will be heard. That echo is your professional reputation. And it is forged not in the calm stretches of the river, but in the turbulence. When a project fails, what is the echo you leave behind? Is it the sound of blame and excuses, or the sound of ownership and learning? When the team is burned out and stressed, what is your echo? Is it one of cynicism and complaint, or one of compassion and a search for solutions? When you face a setback, is your echo one of panic or one of calm, purposeful resolve? The turbulence of your career is not an obstacle to your success. It is the very curriculum designed to teach you and the stage upon which you demonstrate your most valuable professional asset. The echo of your resilience is what builds trust, earns respect, and ultimately opens up channels to new rivers of opportunity you cannot yet imagine. Chapter 12. The Echo in Your Relationships. Forging Bonds That Endure. In Japan, there is an ancient art form called kintsugi, which means golden joinery. When a cherished piece of pottery breaks, the kintsugi artist does not try to hide the damage. Instead, they meticulously piece the fragments back together using a special lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The result is a piece of pottery where the lines of breakage are not disguised, but beautifully illuminated. The philosophy behind kintsugi is profound. It teaches that the cracks and repairs are an integral part of an object's history, a testament to its journey. The breakage is not a moment of shame. It is an opportunity for transformation. The finished piece is often considered more beautiful, more valuable, and stronger than the original, precisely because of its golden seams of repair. This is the most powerful metaphor we have for navigating our relationships. We are often sold a fantasy of the perfect, flawless connection, a bond that never cracks, never endures conflict, never suffers a moment of doubt. This illusion makes us fragile. It leads us to believe that the first sign of a fracture, an argument, a misunderstanding, a betrayal, is a sign of failure, a reason to discard the entire relationship. This chapter is about becoming a kintsugi artist in your own life. It is about understanding that the inevitable fractures in our bonds with others are not the end of the story. When navigated with the tools of resilience, these moments of breakage and repair can become the golden seams that make our connections stronger, deeper, and more breathtakingly beautiful than they were before. The myth of the perfect bond. A resilient relationship is not one without conflict. It is one that has a healthy, compassionate, and effective process for navigating conflict. The renowned relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman has spent decades studying couples in his Love Lab. He discovered that the masters of relationships are not the couples who never fight. In fact, they argue just as much as the disasters. The critical difference lies in how they fight, and most importantly, how they repair the connection afterward. Resilient relationships are not defined by the absence of storms, but by the crew's skill in navigating the ship back to a safe harbor after the storm has passed. Clinging to the myth of a conflict-free connection is like setting sail expecting a perpetually calm sea. The first wave will send you into a panic. Navigating conflict, the storm within the bond. Conflict is an unavoidable part of any meaningful relationship. It is the friction that arises when two unique individuals, with their own histories, values, and needs, try to build a life together. The goal is not to eliminate this friction, but to learn how to generate more light than heat from it. Create the sacred pause. Mindfulness, Chapter 5. In the heat of an argument, your amygdala wants to take over. You are primed for fight, flight, or freeze. The single most powerful skill you can deploy is the mindful pause. Before you speak, take one conscious breath. This simple act creates a space between your emotional trigger and your verbal response. In that space, you can choose a reaction that builds connection rather than a reaction that deepens the fracture. Question your story. Perspective, Chapter 6. Your mind is a brilliant storyteller, and in a conflict, it loves to cast your partner as the villain. It engages in mind reading, like, I know they're just trying to hurt me, and labeling, they're so selfish. A resilient approach is to challenge this first draft story. Instead of saying, you are being selfish, try a vulnerable and perspective-taking approach. The story I'm telling myself right now is that my needs aren't being considered. Can you help me understand your point of view? This transforms an accusation into an invitation. Make a repair attempt. Dr. Gottman found that the secret weapon of successful couples is the repair attempt. This is any action or statement that prevents the negativity from spiraling out of control. It can be a moment of humor, a gentle touch on the arm, or a simple phrase like, okay, we're getting off track. Can we start over? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to come out that way. The ability to both offer and accept these small bids for reconnection is a hallmark of a deeply resilient bond. The deep fracture, betrayal and loss. Some fractures are more than just surface cracks. They are deep breaks that threaten the very structure of the bond. Navigating betrayal. A betrayal of trust, whether through infidelity, deception, or a broken promise, is one of the most painful relational injuries. The kintsugi repair process here is slow and delicate. Tend to your own wound first. Self-Compassion, Chapter 7. The pain of betrayal is overwhelming. Before any decisions can be made about the relationship, you must offer yourself immense kindness. Acknowledge your grief, your anger, and your shattered sense of reality without judgment. Avoid the second arrow. How could I have been so blind? Your only job in the immediate aftermath is to be a compassionate friend to yourself. Accept the new reality. Acceptance, Chapter 10. This is not about condoning the betrayal. It is about letting go of the exhausting struggle with the fact that it happened. You cannot undo it. Radical acceptance is what allows you to stop looking backward in disbelief and start looking forward to make a clear-eyed choice. Consult your values, Chapter 2. The path forward must be guided by your deepest values. Whether you choose to try and rebuild the relationship or to end it, the decision must be rooted in what is authentic for you. There is no right answer, only your answer. Navigating loss and grief. The final fracture is, of course, the loss of a relationship through a breakup, divorce, or death. The repair here is not of the bond itself, but of your own heart. Support your instrument. Physicality, Chapter 8. Grief is a profoundly physical experience. It lives in your body as exhaustion, tension, and pain. During this time, the basics are not basic, they are essential. Prioritize sleep, gentle nutrition, and simple movement. Your body is carrying a heavy load and needs foundational support. Lean on your scaffolding. Connection, Chapter 4. Grief loves isolation. Resilience requires connection. This is the time to lean heavily on your resilience crew. Allow others to co-regulate your nervous system with their calm presence. Sharing your story with trusted friends is not a burden, it is a vital part of the healing process. The gold in the lacquer. The power of vulnerability. What is the golden lacquer that fills the cracks and makes a repaired bond so beautiful? It is vulnerability. As researcher Brené Brown teaches, vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to show up and be seen when you have no control over the outcome. In our relationships, vulnerability is the emotional exposure required for true connection. Every genuine repair attempt is an act of vulnerability. Saying, "I'm sorry, I was wrong," is vulnerable. Saying, "The way you said that really hurt me," is vulnerable. Asking, "Can you help me understand?" is vulnerable. When we refuse to be vulnerable, we might avoid the risk of getting hurt, but we also seal ourselves off from the possibility of authentic connection. We are left with a relationship that might look intact from a distance, but is brittle and hollow on the inside. A resilient relationship is one where both people have the courage to be vulnerable, to show their cracks, and to trust that the other will meet them there with the golden lacquer of empathy and understanding. The echo of connection. The echo of your resilience in your relationships is not the sound of a life without conflict or pain. It is the quiet, shining beauty of the golden seams. It is the trust that is forged not because you and your loved ones are perfect, but because you have proven to each other that you are willing to do the courageous and vulnerable work of repair. This echo is a legacy. It teaches your children, your friends, and your partners that love is not a fragile thing to be protected from all harm. It is a powerful, dynamic force that is strong enough to hold the beauty of its own imperfections. You become known as a person whose bonds can endure the storms, a person who knows how to turn a fracture into a feature. You become a kintsugi artist of the human heart, leaving a legacy that proves that broken things can indeed be made whole, and even more beautiful again. Chapter 13. The Echo Through Generations, Leaving a Legacy of Strength. When we think of the word inheritance, our minds typically go to the tangible, the house, the family heirlooms, the money left in a will. We think of the physical traits we pass down through our genes, the color of our eyes, the shape of our smile. But the most profound and lasting inheritance we leave behind is invisible. It is the emotional and psychological legacy that we bestow upon our children, our friends, and our communities. This is the unseen inheritance, the patterns of how to cope with fear, the beliefs about what is possible in the face of hardship, the models of strength or fragility that we demonstrate with our lives. This transmission of resilience, or the lack thereof, flows silently from one generation to the next. The way you navigate your storms today teaches the next generation how to navigate theirs tomorrow. The echo of your resilience does not stop at the edges of your own life. It is a sound wave that travels forward in time, reverberating through the lives of those you touch, shaping a future you may never see. This final chapter is about becoming a conscious and intentional author of that legacy. It is about understanding that the ultimate expression of a resilient life is in the strength it inspires in others. Modeling resilience for the next generation. The most direct way we transmit our resilience is through our interactions with the children and young people in our lives, whether as parents, grandparents, teachers, or mentors. In a well-intentioned effort to protect them from pain, modern culture often promotes a kind of bubble wrap parenting. We become snowplows, trying to clear every obstacle from our children's paths. We intervene to solve their friendship disputes. We argue with teachers over a bad grade, and we shield them from the sting of failure. But this approach, born of love, inadvertently teaches fragility. It denies children the essential, manageable doses of adversity, the hormetic stress we explored in Chapter 3, that are necessary to build their own psychological muscles. A life without any challenges does not create a happy adult. It creates a brittle one, who shatters at the first real impact of the world. Our goal is not to expose our children to trauma, but to create a safe harbor where they can experience safe failures. This means allowing them to face age-appropriate setbacks while knowing that our love and support are the safety net below. It means letting them feel the natural consequences of forgetting their homework. It means giving them the space to navigate a disagreement and learn the art of the repair attempt. More powerful than anything we explicitly teach, however, is what we model. Children learn resilience not from our lectures, but from watching us live. Narrate your own struggle. Be authentic about your own challenges. When you're frustrated, say so in a healthy way. I'm feeling really disappointed that this project didn't work out. It's frustrating, but I'm going to take a break and then think of a new plan tomorrow. This models a growth mindset and normalizes the experience of setback. Be their self-compassion coach. When your child comes to you after a failure, consumed by self-criticism, "I'm so stupid," you have a critical opportunity. Instead of just fixing the problem, coach them in self-compassion. "It sounds like you're feeling really bad about this. It's okay to be disappointed. You tried something hard, and I'm so proud of you for your effort. What can we learn from this?" You are helping them cultivate the inner voice of an ally. The way you handle your own job loss, your own health scare, your own moments of doubt, this is the true curriculum. It is the living demonstration that becomes their own internal blueprint for a resilient life. Building resilient communities. The echo of our strength extends beyond our family and into our communities, our neighborhoods, our workplaces, our circles of friends. A resilient community is not one that has no problems. It is one that possesses strong social bonds and a shared belief in its ability to solve problems together. It is the interwoven forest in action. You do not need to be a formal leader to be a resilience builder. You can strengthen your community through small, consistent actions. Weave the social fabric. Be the person who welcomes the new family on the block. Organize the team lunch at work. Create spaces where connection, Chapter 4, can happen. These small acts build the social capital that becomes a vital resource in a collective crisis. Share the stories of strength. Every community has a story. Be a steward of the stories that highlight collective perseverance. Remind your colleagues of how the company survived a previous downturn. Tell the story of how the neighborhood came together after a big storm. This practice of vicarious resilience builds a shared identity of being people who get through hard things together. Foster collective efficacy. Turn complaints into contributions. Instead of just lamenting a problem, be the one who says, "What's one small thing we could do about this?" This shifts the community's mindset from one of passive victimhood to one of active empowerment. Your legacy, the story they will tell. Take a moment for a powerful reflection. Imagine it is your 80th birthday, or even your funeral. The people you love most in the world have gathered to share stories about you. Listen closely. What do you hope they are saying? When they speak of your life, what stories do they tell about how you handled the hard times? Do they speak of a person who grew bitter and closed off in the face of pain, or one who grew more compassionate and wise? Do they remember a person who was defined by their setbacks, or one who defined themselves by their courageous response to them? Do they recall a person who passed on their anxieties and fears, or one who transformed their suffering into a source of strength for others? The answers to these questions are not written in the future. They are being written today, in this moment. They are written in how you respond to the frustrating email, how you comfort a grieving friend, how you talk to yourself after a mistake, and how you get out of bed on a difficult morning. The story of your life is not the plot of what happens to you. It is the theme of who you choose to be. This is the echo that will last. The symphony you create. We have come to the end of our journey together. We began with the idea that resilience is an echo, a sound wave of strength that reverberates through our lives. Think of your life as a grand symphony. The joyful, easy times are the soaring, beautiful melodies. The hardships, the losses, the failures, these are the deep, dissonant, and often painful chords. A life lived only in major keys would be shallow and simplistic. It is the tension and release, the interplay of shadow and light that creates a composition of profound depth and beauty. Your resilience is not the absence of the difficult chords, it is the skill of the conductor. It is the art of taking all the notes of your life, the moments of triumph and the moments of tragedy, the soaring highs and the crushing lows, and weaving them into a single, coherent, and magnificent piece of music. The echo of your resilience is the final, resonant sound of that symphony long after the last note has been played. It is the music that lingers in the concert hall of the world. It is the strength that other people absorbed from hearing your song. It is the courage they found to compose their own music inspired by the way you conducted yours. This is your true inheritance. It is not written in a will, but in your character. It is not measured in wealth, but in wisdom. Go now, and let the beautiful, strong, and unforgettable music of your life echo. Conclusion: the symphony you create. Imagine for a moment that your life is a vast concert hall. From the moment you were born, you are both the composer and the lead musician in a symphony that will last a lifetime. The audience is everyone whose life you touch. The performance is happening now, in this very moment. When we began this journey together, we started with a simple idea that your resilience is not a silent internal act of endurance, but a powerful sound wave that echoes through your entire life. Now, as we arrive at the final pages, we can see that this echo is not just a single note of strength played in a moment of crisis. It is the full, resonant sound of the entire symphony you create. A life dedicated to avoiding all pain and difficulty would be a simple, one-note melody. It might be pleasant, but it would be shallow, repetitive, and ultimately forgettable. It would lack depth, character, and the breathtaking beauty that can only be born from contrast. The most magnificent symphonies are not those without dissonance. They are the ones that dare to explore the difficult chords, the minor keys of sorrow, the crashing cymbals of failure, and the tense, quiet passages of uncertainty. The genius of the composer is not in avoiding these moments, but in weaving them into the larger composition, using them to create a tension that makes the resolution all the more powerful and sweet. The darkness is what gives the light its meaning. This is the nature of a resilient, well-lived life. The hardships are not interruptions to your music. They are an integral part of it. Your task is not to pray for a simpler song, but to learn to play the one you have been given with courage, skill, and grace. Over the course of this book, we have learned how to become the masterful conductor of our own symphony. In Part 1, we learned the theory of the music itself. We redefined strength, letting go of the myth of the unbreakable statue and embracing the reality of the tempered blade. We understood that the goal is not to bounce back to who we were, but to bounce forward, allowing the fires of adversity to forge us into someone stronger. We located the source of our music in the unwavering anchor of our core values and the empowering rudder of our beliefs. We studied the very physics of hardship, recognizing that stress is not the enemy, but the raw energy that, when channeled, can power our growth. And we saw that this music is not meant to be played in a vacuum, but in harmony with others, drawing strength from the social science of connection. In Part 2, we moved from theory to practice, from reading the music to tuning the instrument itself. This was the patient, dedicated work of the musician in the practice room. With the pillar of mindfulness, we learned to be a present and focused conductor, creating that sacred pause between a difficult note and our reaction to it, finding the calm eye in the heart of the storm. With perspective, we learned that we are the authors of our own composition, capable of rewriting the fear-based narratives of our minds into stories of empowerment and growth. With self-compassion, we learned the most crucial skill of all, how to respond to a missed note not with harsh criticism, but with the gentle, encouraging kindness of a master teacher, allowing ourselves to get back up and play again. With physicality, we honored our instrument, our body, understanding that its well-being is inseparable from the quality of the music it can produce. We learned that sleep, nutrition, and movement are not luxuries, but the essential acts of care that keep our instrument in tune. With purpose, we found our North Star, the transcendent why that gives our symphony a direction and infuses even the most painful passages with a profound and guiding meaning. And finally, with adaptability, we learned the art of improvisation, the graceful dance of the reed that bends without breaking, letting go of our rigid attachment to the original score and learning to move with the unpredictable rhythm of life itself. In Part 3, we took our finely tuned instrument out of the practice room and onto the grand stage of the world. We saw how the sound of our resilience can build a career that is not just successful, but meaningful, and how it can forge relationships that are not just perfect, but made even more beautiful by the golden seams of repair. And this brought us to our final legacy, the understanding that the echo of our symphony travels through generations, teaching those who come after us how to play their own music with courage. So, what is the sound of your symphony? Do not be afraid of the dissonant chords. Do not be ashamed of the passages that are written in the key of grief or doubt. Do not judge the moments when you miss a note and the sound is not what you intended. These are the very elements that give your symphony its unique texture, its emotional depth, its human heart. The flawed notes, when met with the golden lacquer of self-compassion, often become the most memorable parts of the performance. Your worth is not measured by your ability to play a flawless, simple tune. It is measured by your willingness to engage with the full, complex, and often challenging composition of your life. It is measured by the courage you bring to the difficult passages, the kindness you show yourself when you falter, and the unwavering commitment you hold to your purpose, your North Star, shining brightly from the back of the concert hall. The beautiful and liberating truth is that the symphony is not yet finished. You are composing it now. The pen is in your hand. The instrument is in your arms. The next note has not yet been played. In this very moment, you have the power to choose how you will play it. You can choose to be present, mindfulness. You can choose the story you tell about it, perspective. You can choose to be kind to yourself no matter the sound it makes, self-compassion. You can choose to stand tall and play from a body that you have cared for, physicality. You can choose to play it in service of what matters most, purpose. And you can choose to be flexible, ready to adapt if the music suddenly changes, adaptability. This is your life's work. It is your art. It is your sacred offering to the world. Do not wait for the storms to pass to begin. Do not wait until you feel ready. Pick up your instrument now in the midst of your messy, imperfect, and beautiful life. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of it in your hands. Connect with the music that only you can create. The concert hall is quiet. The audience is listening. Play. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want to leave you with more than just ideas. The journey of building resilience is a daily practice, and having the right tools can make all the difference. To support you on your path, I've created a special 2-page guide for you called Your Resilience Toolkit. It's a free PDF that summarizes all the key exercises and prompts we've talked about, from the 3-minute breathing space to the ABCDE rewrite. The link to download it is right in the description below this video. I really encourage you to download it, print it out, and keep it somewhere you can see it. Let it be your companion and your guide as you continue to build your own beautiful, resilient echo. Make use of it. And thank you for being here today.